Petco Park, San Diego. Perfect spot for the perfect game. All-American Classic. 51 of the finest high school seniors in North America. Alex Jackson hopes to put the gear on in the big leagues someday. Nick Gordon knows about the show. Father Tom threw nearly 900 games at the highest level. His future at shortstop. Californian Jacob Gatewood put on a slugging display at the MLB Junior Home Run Derby in the Big Apple. His power and their talent showcased next. San Diego, California, welcome. And welcome to the 11th edition of the Perfect Game All-American Classic presented by Rawlings. 51 of the finest players in the land as East goes toe-to-toe with West here at Petco Park. Now, what does it all mean? In the first decade of this event, it has dominated the Major League Baseball amateur draft. Names like Posey and Upton and Harper and McCutchen. You can see this has been a who's who that have played in this game getting ready to head into their senior years in high school. Hi there, folks, and welcome back to the ballpark. Eric Burns joins me, more than a decade in the major leagues. David Ronsley is Perfect Game's Vice President of Player Personnel. So, Eric, right away, you have spent some time with these young men. What's your initial takeaway?
I can't believe how incredibly gifted they are as baseball players, David. I look at this group and I think to myself, these guys could be big leaguers right now. You could tell me the San Diego Padres were down there working out, and you would have fooled me, because that's how skilled these guys are, and it's incredible how Perfect Game has grown over the course of the years and how many great players have come out of it.
All right, David, put your scout hat on and tell us a little bit about Alex Jackson. He's a San Diegan.
At San Diego, I first saw him about 2 years ago in San Diego when he was coming off his freshman year. I've had the pleasure of watching him develop as both a player and a young man over the last 2 years. He's a dynamic talent, both offensively and defensively, and very worthy of the #1 ranking in this 2014 class by Perfect Game.
He has acted as a bit of a host, certainly because he is one of 3 local products here from Southern California. Let's go down by the dugout. Brett Dolan joins us. He's with Alex Jackson.
Thank you, Darren. Meet Alex Jackson from Rancho Bernardo High School here in the San Diego area. Always a big thrill to be a part of this game, Alex, but what is the extra significance for you knowing that it's in your hometown, you're kind of the unofficial host, and you get a chance to play at Petco Park for the first time?
I mean, it's an amazing experience. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better setting to play. I mean, I got all the fans and support, all my family, friends, I mean, everything you can ask for. So it's an honor being able to play here, and I'm looking forward to the game.
It's also an honor to be ranked #1 in the draft class for next year by Perfect Game. Comparisons to Bryce Harper with the positions you play and the power you possess, any extra pressure that comes with those expectations?
I mean, you know, there's always that pressure, but I mean, when I go about it and I just try to, you know, put it in the back of my head and enjoy my time, you know, playing the game that I love. I mean, I still got a year of high school left. I still got things to look forward to. So, I mean, I'm not trying to put as much pressure as I can on myself, just trying to relax, enjoy myself, and have fun as I can.
Thanks, Alex. Enjoy your time.
Thank you.
That's Alex Jackson. Back up to you.
Great stuff. Now, you had to deal with some great stuff from Tom Flash Gordon on the mound. You faced him as a hitter in the major leagues. His son, Nick Gordon, is the #1 shortstop prospect in the United States. Your thoughts on Nick?
Well, not only did I have a chance to face Tom, but I also had a chance to play with Tom. That's how I know I'm getting a little bit up there in age. So, look, this is the best fielding shortstop defensive player in this class. He is absolutely incredible. He also, by the way, has 94 miles per hour with Dad's Uncle Charlie curveball to go with it. So still a little bit of a question of what he's going to play.
David, tell us about Floridian Touki Toussaint.
Well, Touki Toussaint has a great background. He's originally from Haiti, moved to South Florida as a youngster. Didn't play baseball until 3 or 4 years ago because he was a soccer player, and now one of the top pitchers in the class.
Yeah, fun to see his chin-to-knees curveball, as they call it. Eric Burns, David Ronsley, and I'm Brett Dolan down on the field. Certainly glad to have you with us. You'll be saying these names very soon in a Major League ballpark near you, but when we come back, we'll say the names and the lineups. We'll have all the action from San Diego. Certainly excitement as both of these teams take the diamond here in a moment. Let's take a look at our Rawlings starting lineup for the West squad. Derek Hill, Rawlings Defensive Player of the Year, leads it off. Bryce Carter, the #1 prospect in Oklahoma. We've already told you all about Alex Jackson and the big power of Jacob Gatewood. Jake Flaherty, the Los Angeles Times Player of the Year here locally. Marcus Wilson can fly. We'll see that out there. Now, A couple of guys, you see the EH and the XH, those are extra hitters in order to showcase the talent. DJ Peters, Jackson Reitz will be going to play for Darren Erstad in Nebraska. Monte Harrison is a 4-star wide receiver. He's also in right field. Zach Shannon, the #1 outfielder in the state of Ohio, is the first baseman. He plays on the infield in this case. And a young man by the name of Scott Hurst, he bats in the final spot, in this case the 11th spot, as we take a look at the West All-Americans, their starting lineup. Grant Holmes, the right-hander, is on the mound. You have to love the uniforms the players are wearing. The home team actually wearing a road uniform, but a great-looking Rawlings Perfect Game blue uniform. David, introduce us, please, to Grant Holmes.
Well, Grant Holmes, one of the most talented right-handers in the country from South Carolina, is a two-pitch guy right now, but they're 2 present-plus pitches on the big league scale. He's been up to 96 miles an hour this summer with his fastball, but it may not be his best pitch. He throws a curveball that's 83, 85 miles an hour that may be the best breaking pitch in this class.
Really just 2 pitches, Eric. When you're this age and you have velocity, you have strength, you have size, really it's about refining just 2 pitches to grow to the next level initially, right?
Initially, but eventually these guys are going to need 3 pitches at the big league level unless you're Nolan Ryan. Now, don't get me wrong, Holmes here might be the next Nolan Ryan or Roger Clemens, but you know, typically for a starting pitcher, you're going to see a repertoire of at least 3 pitches, whereas relief pitchers generally get by with 2.
He does have a little advice coming from a pro. His brother Colby, who pitched very successfully for South Carolina, has managed to almost walk on into pro ball, if you will. A guy who was not highly regarded in the draft. He pitches for the Braves organization for rookie ball. So exciting. Obviously, you, Eric, coming out of high school, came through a very different situation than when you went to play at UCLA. You spent some time with these young men. Can you imagine how anxious they must be right now?
You know what? I was thinking that, Darren, and I was down on the field with them earlier, and it was incredible how relaxed they looked. I was shocked. I was thinking if this was me in this situation, I'd never played in any sort of showcase game or anything like that, not even an area code game. But again, these guys are used to it now. They have a great presence about them.
We're underway with strike 1 at 93 miles an hour. He gets it going. Derek Hill leads it off, young man out of Sacramento, California, the #1 ranked outfielder in the state of California. That one at 92, up and in, up under his chin. He's from Elk Grove High School. And the Hill family name, Father Orsino, of course, Mom Katie, but his dad is a scout. Swing and a miss for the Dodgers organization.
David, good ride through the zone right there with the fastball from Holmes.
Yeah, he gets a lot of life on his pitches in addition to the velocity. Here we take a look at the scouting report on Derek Hill. Line drive hitter, mostly up the middle type contact, but the Rawlings Gold Glove Award winner for this 2014 class as a center fielder.
Gets a chase on a fastball away.
First thing, look, if it's not difficult enough facing the Holmes here throwing 93+ miles per hour with a good curveball to go with it, they're dealing with the shadows right now, hitters are. So it's very tough to pick up the ball.
You can see those shadows that Eric is talking about as Bryce Carter gets an opportunity to hit now. Carter out of Oklahoma. He's a catcher. Initially, he will serve as a designated hitter. That lively fastball jumps out of the zone. 1-0 the count.
I always said that they should ban 5 o'clock starts and the slider. Didn't get my way for either one of them.
That one sails high. 2-0 the count. David, tell us about Carter.
Well, Bryce Carter, first of all, the first thing you noticed was up on the screen earlier, a commitment to Stanford. He's an outstanding young man, takes care of his work in the classroom, but one of the more polished hitters in the 2014 class. Swings through that 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Holmes, but he's the kind of guy always making contact, had a home run at the Perfect Game National Showcase, and just really polished with that left-handed bat.
Defense playing straight up. There's no scouting reports on these guys. The first breaking ball after all those fastballs.
You see the bite on that? I mean, this is what I was talking about. And not that I saw these guys throwing bullpens or anything, but the batting practice. They were taking a major league type of batting practice earlier today.
On the ground out to third. Tyquan Forbes out of Mississippi shoots it on across to big Justin Bellinger. The defense now is in action. Let us show you defensively. A huge, huge arm in center field. Michael Geddes Cooley and Smith flank him. We saw Forbes a moment ago. Eric was talking about Nick Gordon coming on the air. Great speed and power for Greg Dykman at second. Bellinger's about 6'7" at first base. And a familiar name, Benito Santiago, the son of the longtime Major League catcher, is behind the plate. Here is Alex Jackson. Jackson a couple of days ago in a warm-up game for this event at the end of a workout put some strain on his ankle going back on a pickoff play, so it'll be interesting to watch him. The next day he was back out ready to go as he hits that one slowly up the line, and we'll do it again now with a foul ball, 1-1.
Now, Eric, you saw the curveball there from Holmes. A lot of scouts are calling that a slider because of the velocity. 81 on those two. He's been up to 85 that I've seen him this summer. But in my mind, that's a true curveball. He's coming over that with big two-plane break.
Yeah, David, you're right. I think it's kind of they came up somewhere along the way with the term slurve. It's kind of slurvy. I can see how scouts sometimes would refer to it as a slider. But it has real nice tilt to it. And again, when I talked about the ride through the zone, you see the late life, you see how it kind of jumps. And it's almost like it gets halfway and it appears to be picking up speed.
That had a little cut to it. The right arm out of Conway, South Carolina. Very solid inning for Grant Holmes. All right, we're off and running. The pitchers rule the day. They'll try to keep it up. Back at San Diego, taking a look at the Rawlings starting lineup for the East squad. Nick Gordon leads it off, the shortstop. Louisiana native Greg Dykman bats second. Michael Geddes, explosive. He bats third. Braxton Davidson out of North Carolina, the cleanup hitter. Kel Johnson. He was part of that junior home run derby in the MLB day, and he had 11 homers. Big power, same for Justin Bellinger. 100 home runs in a season once, as the legend goes in the little leagues. Justin Smith is in right field, a Miami commit. Gareth Morgan, the first Canadian to ever play in this game. Benito Santiago, Tyquan Forbes out of Mississippi, and Breeze Cooley out of Orange Park, Florida. Left-hander Brady Aiken, San Diego is his hometown. He goes to work, and the fastball is fouled back to the screen. Brady Aiken out of Cathedral Catholic. The Southpaw is the #1 left-handed pitcher in the state of California. #3 in the United States is ranked by Perfect Game. And for Brady, the UCLA commit, this has been a really fun ride as he misses away to Nick Gordon. 1-1 the count.
Well, Darren, and Brady Aiken, you have one of the most polished left-handers in the country. He's got the 3-pitch mix, Eric, that we were talking about with Holmes lacking a bit. Low 90s fastball, big breaking curveball, very nice changeup for a high school pitcher, and I think you'll see hopefully all 3 of them in his inning of work today.
Let's hope he doesn't pitch too well, draw too much attention, and have to skip out on his commitment to UCLA.
You're the pride of UCLA. Charging, Gordon racing, the throw skips away. Gets by the first baseman there, unable to hold on. That was a tough play, charging in to make that play. Scott Hurst. Gordon's on no matter what, though.
Yeah, really, this is a do-or-die play. You see Gordon fly out of the box. Man, can he run? We know his brother can run. Tom, I can't speak for him, the old man. Didn't see him getting down the line like that.
And Zach Shannon, the first baseman, couldn't hold on to that one. Greg Dykman takes a fastball over the outside corner. Greg out of Metairie, Louisiana. Brother Martin High School. His travel team, Marucci Elite. A very good program. Breaking ball spun out of the way, but it got him, so a couple of base runners to deal with. Good speed by Gordon. Dykman hung in there on that breaking ball. Runners on first and second.
I was thinking when I saw the lineup with Aiken, the lefty in, and Gordon, a left-handed hitter, and Dykman, a left-handed hitter, the first couple of batters that they were doing young Mr. Aiken a favor, but 2 runners on base now.
You mentioned the Marucci Elite travel team. And I think back, and I graduated high school in 1994, so I mean, it wasn't all that long ago.
Sure.
Although I'm getting close to 20-year reunion here. We didn't have those. They were non-existent. The only sort of showcase games that they had back then were the area code games.
Which, David, are still in existence and going strong, correct?
Yes, they are. Came down from Long Beach just a couple days ago, as did many of these players, in fact.
Yeah, just as you're talking about, Eric, gives these guys an opportunity to play a little more baseball.
It does, and the other thing it does is it gets somebody who may have otherwise been overlooked along the way an opportunity to be seen, and I think that's the most important thing. I mean, thinking back, I can even think of some of the kids that I played with growing up that maybe just kind of slipped through the cracks, that were incredible ball players just because the right people didn't see them. Well, today's game, and the way it's going at the amateur level, you're going to be seen.
Many have seen Michael Geddes out of Gainesville, Georgia. He's the #1 outfielder in the United States. And it's just explosive speed, a huge arm, big power, all in a package of about 6'1", 200 pounds. So certainly not cumbersome for that power. As he fouls that one off, and he's got a big arm, doesn't he, David?
Big arm, 100-mile-an-hour arm from the outfield, 94 off the mound. He's a 6'4" runner in the 60. He's 200 pounds. He has electric bat speed at times, and if you graded him out on just tools, he's the most tooled-up player probably in this class.
Dad played football at Clemson. A big-time breaking ball. It was only a strike in the final moment. That's a heck of a pitch.
That's a backdoor breaking ball. Really, really nice pitch right there. And Geddes, I had a chance to watch him take batting practice earlier. I like his simple approach. You see the front foot down early. But you talk about that bat speed, David. My goodness, it was buggy whipping through the zone, and he was launching balls into the Petco seats out there in left center field.
You're seeing about Brady Aiken getting to know the stuff that David has already talked about, as the UCLA commit misses outside to Braxton Davidson.
Braxton Davidson, one of my favorite players in the country, certainly maybe my favorite player to watch hit. He's got a rare combination of the hit tool, ability to make contact, and big power.
2 runners on at the fastball is away to Braxton. Out of Arden, North Carolina, T.C. Roberson High School, and the #1 outfielder in the state. You're talking about that prodigious power. This is going to be fun to see him hang in there lefty on lefty. He didn't get a chase. That pitch, oh, he did. 2-1. They say he went around.
I don't know exactly if the runners are on their own, but I'm kind of surprised here Gordon hasn't taken off for third base. I don't know what sort of rules or restrictions that they have, but Aiken here is about 1/6 to home plate, so obviously taking a very long time. He could be standing up at third base, which he will right now, regardless.
My guess is, David, and you're behind the scenes, as that one goes to the backstop, that guys are pretty much on their own out there, correct?
Yeah, pretty much on their own. There aren't any signals. The guys who are fast know they are fast. They are going to be aggressive. It may be take an inning or two to get in the field of the game, but we'll get to see the catchers throw. We'll see some heads-up daring base running somewhere in these 9 innings.
Brady Aiken meeting with Alex Jackson, both prepsters here in San Diego. Jackson, we talked about him earlier, Rancho Bernardo High School. Brady Aiken, Cathedral Catholic. Sean Bouchard's also on the roster from Cathedral Catholic here locally. Kudos to those 3 young men. In advance to this event, they got together, the 3 of them. And Brady and the other 2 led the charge in raising more than $10,000 for pediatric cancer research going to Rady Children's Hospital here in San Diego. So they acted as true hosts, as that one is belted, well struck into left field. Marcus Wilson is under it. In front of him comes Derek Hill in left field, essentially making that play. The throw went to third. Both runners move up. It was close with Dykeman, but Gordon scores easily, and the first run is scored by the E squad. Braxton Davidson with an RBI.
Look how far he comes over for this ball.
And good communication in the outfield too. These young men have not played before, and Marcus Wilson and Derek Hill out there communicating well enough. And Hill was the one who should have made the play. He's going to third base right away. He had the momentum.
He certainly came a long way, and I'm glad they communicated well enough, because he made that play in left field.
That's what we used to call getting Kelly Lee.
Remember that reference? Bad News Bears reference. Good one, Burnsy. I like that. Yeah. Kel Johnson is the extra hitter. Kel was part of that junior home run derby that Major League Baseball put together on the night of the workout in the home run derby. During commercial breaks, during downtimes, youngsters would come out and get to hit. Well, Kel, hit 11 over the boards at Citi Field.
I mean, let's remember this, guys. They're going into their senior year.
Boy, that is a tough pitch to deal with. A pitcher like that going into his senior year is in good shape. He got in a bit of a bind. He did surrender a run, but there were two wicked breaking balls from the left arm of Brady Aiken. Perfect Game All-American Classic is presented by Rawlings, the #1 brand in baseball, and sponsored in part by Perfect Game, baseball's largest and most respected independent scouting and tournament provider. Welcome back to the All-American Classic. The revolving door will continue every inning, All-Star Game style. Dylan Cease goes to work, the right-hander, and the young man out of Georgia. He is committed to pitch at the University of Georgia out of Milton, Georgia. He's a #1 right-handed pitching prospect in the great state of Georgia. A pitcher that threw 90 miles an hour, make that 97 miles an hour in Minnesota. That's correct, huh, David?
Oh, yeah. This might be the hardest throwing pitcher right now in this class, and he's very projectable in that he's 6'1", 180 pounds, long and loose, and you can see him even gaining velocity as he gains weight and matures physically.
Yeah, that looked like easy cheese right there.
Jacob Gatewood late on that one. Into the seats it goes. Gatewood, the shortstop, out of Clovis, California, Clovis High School.
Fresno kid.
His father, he has some baseball experience. His dad, Henry, fought for 7 years in the minor leagues for the Dodgers, the Twins, the Cubs organization. Pours that one in there at 95, as you call it, easy cheese, right off the fingertip.
Easy cheese, and again, the late movement, a little two-seam action coming back over the outside part of the plate. Looks really, really free and easy.
Breaking ball spun up there, hanging about a bit. But in the end, the change in velocity was enough, and Gatewood topped it. Athletically off the mound, Cease makes the play, a 1-3 putout. Gatewood is erased.
And Cease, a shortstop in high school. In addition to pitching, you saw some of the athleticism coming off the mound there. You also saw the curveball, and that's going to be a big challenge for him because right now, unlike Grant Holmes, his curveball isn't quite up there with his fastball yet, and it's something he's going to have to tighten up and get more power to.
Jack Flaherty now with an opportunity. Studio City, California. Harvard Westlake High School, where he and his mates went to Dodger Stadium, and they won the CIF, the local Division I title. Fastball paints the outside at 94 miles an hour. And Flaherty did big work, like the man's doing on the mound right now. On the mound in that state title game, he pitched and won a 1-0 game against a local high school from Huntington Beach.
You see that? I mean, 73 miles per hour on the breaking ball. We're talking a 20+ mile per hour difference between the fastball and the breaking ball. But I could see, David, how he probably was going to need to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to need to work. He dropped his elbow on that one and didn't release it out front. That had a little better spin and break on it right there, and had better power as a result as well.
Interesting comp, David, that you guys came up with because he's big and he's athletic. Talking about Jack Flaherty, the hitter. Scott Rowland.
Scott Rowland, yeah. Flaherty plays shortstop now and pitches, but 6'4", 205, but highly athletic, much in the same way that Scott Rowland is. And I can see him over at third base, especially if he gets bigger, having that kind of athleticism that stands out defensively at the hot corner.
Had something very kind to say about his mom, Eileen. He said she made all the sacrifices in the world so that I could be here. He's adopted and certainly very proud of his family. Babies that breaking ball up there, misses outside. I guess with an arm like that, you're allowing the breaking ball to be a work in progress.
Yeah, if I'm a scout, I'm not too worried about that. I'm looking at the velocity, I'm looking at the motion. It just, everything to me just looks like this kid's, he's going to be something special on the mound.
Oh, and that one managed to dive in on his hands.
I think a lot of the pitchers here, as their background, Grant Holmes is a third baseman and plays a lot of third base. Brady Aiken's a center fielder. Dylan Cease is a shortstop, and they haven't really specialized into positions yet. And as we look at the radar guns, they're all very interested in this, but they haven't been a full-time pitcher yet, and often haven't had the coaching that can really improve that secondary pitch to the degree that you need in pro ball or even college ball.
Flaherty reaches with the walk, so a base runner for Dylan Cease to deal with.
They just showed the scouts. Supposedly there's over 250 scouts out there today, and it was fun to watch them during the pregame as they salivated over these guys.
Yeah, they've been gathered. You can bump into them in the hotel, and that's several hotels.
And you always know they're a scout, too.
Marcus Wilson coming right up below us.
Golly.
Burns, he exaggerated. He didn't have it. He called it. At least you communicated with us. I appreciate that.
Didn't you hear the clank?
I do appreciate having a big league outfielder next to me in the booth here.
Oh.
Wilson out of Serra High School, a Los Angeles, California native. And he takes that fastball that races away. Tell us a bit more about him from the scout's perspective, David.
Well, Marcus Wilson is just growing into his talent. 6'2", about 175 pounds. He hasn't started getting any man strength yet, but his raw athleticism, his speed, his arm, you can see him all improving in the future as he gets stronger.
He's one of those guys, very rare combination of speed and power. Consistently every year, chalk him up, 20-plus homers, 50-plus bags. You just don't really see that anymore, Darren Sutton.
Wilson's committed, should he play collegiately after this year, Arizona State University.
I tell you the truth, another reason I made that comparison with Eric Davis is Eric Davis, one of the most eloquent speakers I have ever come across in my years in baseball, and Marcus Wilson has that same sort of eloquence to him.
It's a pass ball, a breaking ball that stayed. And I think Santiago kept waiting for it to drop, and it never did.
Yeah, and I think Santiago might be having a little bit of an issue because of the shadows as well. See, I think it starts in the light, it gets in the dark, it comes back in the light a little bit.
Well, that's a good shot of what you're talking about. There's a runner in scoring position for Wilson. Rolls it to the right side. Ranging over there is Dykman. He can't make the play. Clapping his hands as he scores is Flaherty. And just like that, the ball game changes. A passed ball and a miscue on the right side. We are tied at 1 in the 2013 Perfect Game All-American Classic.
Well, Greg Dykman, usually a shortstop, plays shortstop almost exclusively in high school, as many of these infielders do, may not be used to moving that way at second base and just didn't quite get the glove in the right position.
Yeah, I'm sure most of these guys are center fielders or shortstops.
DJ Peters, a big fella, chases a fastball up high and into the seats it goes.
Having to move around a little bit sometimes can be difficult. I know being an outfielder, I was a guy that they would put all over the place, so I kind of became accustomed to it. They couldn't really hide me anywhere. But center fielders who move, especially later in their career, have a very difficult time playing the corners. And I imagine the same sort of thing for someone who's been a shortstop for so long, and all of a sudden you're playing third base or second base. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to.
But certainly willing to do it to get the opportunity to play. And defensive players like that can't wait for the next one to come to them. Runner goes. It's off the catcher's mitt there of Santiago. And so the scuffles behind home plate continue, though in this case, Wilson with very good speed had a good jump. He's just one step ahead. Mentally, he was throwing the baseball just before he got to him. He'll come out and have a brief discussion. This is a very, very good staff. Chad Brown is the head coach. Chan out of Parkview High School in Lilburn, Georgia. 9 years he's been the Parkview coach. Played at Hillsborough in Tampa and Georgia State in Atlanta. So 15 years overall he's been coaching. James Lowry is on his staff as well. Eddie Johnson part of that staff.
And Chan Brown very familiar with Dylan Cease. They're both from Georgia, both in the greater Atlanta area. Parkview to the north, Milton High School, where Dylan Cease is from, also on the north side of Atlanta. So I'm sure they have run into each other on the field or somewhere over the past couple of years.
DJ Peters out of Glendora, California, is committed to head to Cal State Fullerton. Fastball right at his belt. He'll play at Goodwin Field if he doesn't sign after next year's draft.
Talking to the guys on the field, they're actually, believe it or not, very familiar with one another with all the showcase games that these guys play in.
And not only that, they play on travel teams. Darren mentioned the Marucci Elite earlier. There's 4 or 5 players, I believe, here, Marucci Elite. 4 or 5 players from the San Diego Show. A couple players from the East Cobb Braves. So we see fastball above Peter's hands there, right through it. But they've been playing together in tournaments and showcases for 2-3 years, and they know each other, and they know they're going to maybe be future teammates in the big leagues as well.
Nebraska native Jackson Reitz goes after the first one and drives it into the gap in right center field. It's down. It will roll all the way to the wall. Wilson will score easily. Reitz into second. He's headed to play at Nebraska next year. I'm sure head coach Darren Erstad loves that approach.
Oh, yes, he does. Look at that. Drilling the ball to the opposite field. It was fun to watch. Got a mid-90s fastball out over the plate. You see him just drop the barrel of the bat and shoot that right center field gap.
Well, we're allowed to have favorite players here in the booth, I hope. But I happen to live in Omaha, Nebraska, and I've gotten to know Jackson, who's the first Nebraskan ever to play in this Perfect Game All-American Classic. I've got to know he and his mom and dad and family pretty well over the last year or so, and great people, and certainly representing Nebraska well so far.
Monte Harrison out of Lee Summit, Missouri, with a runner in scoring position, takes high. Reitz, the family you're talking about, Mom Leslie, Dad Andy, I'm sure very proud of the young man out of Norris High School. He's in scoring position now, and the challenges for Dylan Cease continue. 2-0 the count. Lee Summit West High School. And when you talk about Monte Harrison, this is another young man going to Nebraska, but for a totally different reason. He can catch the football.
He can run and catch the football. 4-star wide receiver, as you mentioned previously, and also a standout basketball player.
So though he had a great major league career, Darren Erstad is probably kind of wanting the major league guys to stay away from those two guys, let him come play at him for Nebraska. Big jump, headed to third, throw down, not in time. That's what you're talking about, Eric. Starting to feel the game as a base runner and take advantage.
Yeah, it's 2 outs right here. I've always been somebody who, hey, look, you don't make the first or third out at third base, I get it. But if you can be standing up on third base, and you saw the incredible jump that he was able to get, go ahead and do it.
I called your games for about 3 seasons. I never saw you take your foot off the gas ever.
No, it wasn't really in my repertoire, Darren.
2-2 the count.
I wasn't very good, so I had to try real hard.
Full count, 2-1. The West squad has scored a pair of runs in this inning. David Ronsley, Perfect Games Director of Player Personnel. Eric Burns, 11-year major leaguer. My name is Darren Sutton. Glad to have you with us. Roll to the right side. It is another chance for Dykeman. This time he turns it into an out. But a couple of big runs, some miscues in the inning, but the big swing of the bat, Jackson Reitz, young man headed to Nebraska, driving it into the right center field gap. Brady Aiken gives way to a young man from Texas. He is one of the fastest rising prospects in the United States, David Ronsley. His name is Tyler Kolek, and the legend continues to grow. He's out of Shepherd, Texas, spends a lot of time working in his father's business as a ranch hand. Tell us about him as a pitcher.
Well, Tyler Kolek missed most of the spring baseball season with a non-baseball injury to his arm, broken arm. And I started hearing from scouts in May, hey, there's this kid down in Texas, East Texas, throwing in the mid to upper 90s. And the word got out pretty quickly after that. Big 6'5", 250-pound, power pitcher, complete power pitcher. I've seen him up to 97 and a big breaking curveball. And Eric, you'll appreciate the curveball when we talk about a slurve. It's at 77 to 81 miles an hour with that big depth. that we saw earlier from Grant Holmes.
6'5", 250. Wow.
Mom Brenda, Dad James. Dad, the manager of a 10,000-acre cattle ranch.
I love this story already.
Justin Bellinger digs in. You want to make it better. Here's the biggest man on the other squad, and Justin Bellinger, as he fouls that one back to the screen. 6'6", 240 pounds in the batter's box out of Needham, Massachusetts.
I was on the field today with these guys, and I'm not kidding you. I thought to myself, how did I ever play in the big leagues?
It may be the first time Kyler Kolek's ever faced somebody bigger than him, though.
These guys are gigantic.
It was fun being around them this week, whether it was heading out to Rady Children's Hospital or Miramar, and seeing the big jets fly by. You felt like you needed to feed them between every stop. 0-2, the fastball 97 with life, down and away.
97 running away.
And what is it about Texas where he could be from Pennsylvania or California?
Nah.
No. He's going to be from Texas.
Of course he is.
Fastball inside corner, 96 miles an hour. The slugger from Massachusetts goes down. We've heard a lot about him. We certainly know the big young man has a high ceiling. Allow us to introduce you to the man on the mound.
Tyler Kolek, Shepherd, Texas, right-handed pitcher. We live on a 10,000-acre ranch, and we go fishing a lot, go hunting during hunting season. I have to warm up the same for every single game.
Justin Smith took the first breaking ball that he's thrown. It dove low, sharply dove out of the zone. Justin out of St. John's, Florida, a Miami commit. Bartram Trail High School, where he's a basketball player too. He plays for the Marucci Elite Travel Squad in the summertime. Well, I say summertime, David. To be proper, I should say the fall, too, because the World Wood Bat Association National Championship in Jupiter is played in October, so they stay with their quote-unquote summer teams through the fall, right?
Yeah, they stay with their teams if they're not playing football, of course, and many of these young athletes are playing football. But yeah, the season really culminates in Jupiter the last week of October with the WWA World Championships, and it's the scouting event really in all of baseball. And Eric, if you think 250 scouts here is a big deal in Jupiter, and Darren saw it last year for the first time, there's about 800 scouts there for 5 days.
And they all have golf carts.
I didn't realize 800 scouts existed.
They all have golf carts. It looks like the 5 freeway on a Friday afternoon. 2-1 the count on Justin Smith. And we'll occasionally, folks, reference Minneapolis. Player A did this in Minneapolis, did that in Minneapolis. Minneapolis is the national showcase, and that's 300 invited players. Scouts certainly flock to the Metrodome, the former home of the Minnesota Twins, and it truly is a showcase. The 60 is run. Players throw from the outfield. Pitchers are clocked from the mound. They throw across the infield. Then they play exhibition games against one another as they're divided into teams. So we will reference that upon occasion. David, how much does that showcase play into selecting the 51 players in this game?
It plays a very significant role. It certainly isn't the only part of the process. As I've mentioned, I saw Alex Jackson play 2 years ago, and you build up the body of evaluations on each of these players. Some players get better, just before, the national showcase during their junior seasons, but it is a very important part of the whole evaluation process.
Good speed up the line, fine effort charging by Flaherty, but unable to turn it into an out as he shot it on a cross. Let's take a look defensively, and this defense will move around over the next couple of innings, but for now it's Wilson Hill and Monte Harrison. We saw the effort there by Flaherty. Gatewood is the shortstop, Hurst is at second base, Shannon at first, and Alex Jackson does the catching. Aiken has now been replaced by the big fella Tyler Kolek on the mound. Aiken through last inning. And here is Gareth Morgan. Gareth, the first Canadian-born player to ever take part. This is the 11th edition of the Perfect Game All-American Classic.
And this is a very important event for Gareth Morgan. The scouts really haven't got a good look at him this summer. He had a little minor knee injury at the start of the summer, held him out of the national showcase. But he's been a legend in Canadian youth baseball for years and a very well-known player. But scouts need to get that firm look at him in this year cycle leading up to the 2014 draft.
Just another big fella, 6'4", 215.
And if you'd seen him during batting practice, he was hitting that second deck in left center field during batting practice.
1-2 the count from Kolek.
Yeah, these guys were making this ballpark very, very small. The other thing is, they're all swinging wood bats. That's one thing we haven't really talked about yet. But during their high school season, obviously, they're swinging aluminum.
Here's another tough fastball, a called strike over the outside corner.
Hang with them. Real good pitch from Kolek here. Nothing you can really do.
At that point, you just say good pitch and walk back to the dugout, and I'll try to get you next time.
Benito Santiago now with an opportunity to hit out of Coral Springs, Florida. Runner takes off. That one looked like he got a piece of Jackson's catcher's mitts. We have catcher's interference there. Runner was going. I think Jackson tried to take a step out early.
Wow, you don't see that too often. I mean, you see catcher's interference, but did you see where the glove ended up?
I got to hope he's all right. I mean, if it got that much of the glove, let's hope it just got the glove and not the hand.
This is impressive. Whack! So not only did he hit the ball, hits a glove out there. I mean, I feel like you should get extra credit if you're the hitter there.
Hey, he's taking a look at everything, making sure it's all together.
And you notice that wrap on his thumb. He's been battling a thumb injury all summer, and he has that thumb on his left hand pretty well taped up as it is. But I didn't see any sign from him of grabbing or a pain or anything. That was my first thought. Hey, is Alex Jackson okay there?
Well, you wonder why he keeps catching guys like Kolek that throw 97 miles per hour.
2-1 is the score. They're going to talk about it. There is a pinch runner that has made his way in for the catcher, Santiago. And it's a speedy pinch runner. His name is Carl Chester out of Longwood, Florida. When I say speedy, going back to that Minnesota showcase we told you about, he ran a 6.2860 in the showcase. Best one there, David?
Best one there. Best one we've measured it, I believe, any showcase this summer. And he plays fast, too. He's a high motor player who has that speed as well.
Taekwon Forbes out of Columbia, Mississippi.
6'2",
Perspective, please. What is that? You could run. You could get after it.
I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, 6'2", generally, like really good is 6'5". I mean, that's like elite speed. So 6'2", is. I mean, we're getting into Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders territory.
Yeah. Usually the major league average for the 60, a major league player, is 6'8", and that's what's used as a 50 average grade on the scouts report. So you go down to 6'5", as you mentioned, that's plus speed, and the 6'2s, that's getting into Billy Hamilton type speed.
Taekwon shoots that one into right field. Young man out of Mississippi. Out front is Justin Smith. He draws the throw. Safe sliding into home plate. That'll tie things up at 2. We've seen a couple of hitters on this contest do very pretty things with good fastballs. That means hit them where they're pitched.
Absolutely. You see Taekwon just shoot it to right field. Real nice swing. That's what also impressed me about these guys approaching the batting cage today. It wasn't all just, hey, look, I'm going to pull the ball and try to hit the ball out of the park. You saw a lot of it, of course. It's a showcase sort of thing, and I'm sure these guys are excited because all the scouts are in the stands. But these guys have good swings.
Yes, they do.
I mean, these guys have refined approaches at the plate.
And it doesn't surprise me that Forbes did that because that's what he's done the last 2 days in the workouts. He's hit a lot of balls very hard to right field.
Taekwon out of Columbia High School, a football player, basketball player too, very involved in the community there. Very proud of who this young man is. Sink at 93 miles an hour over the inside corner to Reese Cooley. Reese is out of Orange Park, Florida.
Kolek probably wants to chill out with that leg kick a little bit.
There goes Forbes. Here's a throw by Jackson. Not in time, but a beautiful throw, and it's a double steal and a run scores.
Look at that.
Santiago, they talked about Chester running for him in his speed, so a speedy double steal, and it's 3-2. That still was a great throw by Jackson with regard to a high leg kick to get him started.
Well, if you're going to be 1-5, 1-6, 1-7 to home plate, it doesn't matter. If the slowest person on the team's out there, they're most likely going to be able to steal second base.
Cooley on a one-hopper back to the mound. A big fastball from the right arm. So far, the hardest thrower in this game, Tyler Kolek, but aggressive base running, a timely hit from Taekwon Forbes. They're clapping in Mississippi. One of the great parts about this game is over the last decade plus, more than $800,000 have benefited Rady Children's Hospital in their constant effort to defeat pediatric cancer. It's the largest pediatric hospital in the state of California, and these young men, they touch lives, but you know what? Along with Honorary Chairman Trevor Hoffman, their lives were touched as well. Rady Children's Hospital, a big part of this game locally, as a trio pitched in to raise more than $10,000, with more on one of those men in that trio, a man we've already seen pitch, Brett Dolan, down in the dugout. Brett, take it away.
Thank you, Darren. Brady Aiken joins us, Sean Bouchard, Alex Jackson, the trio of players that raise money for Rady's Children's Hospital. Brady, tell me about why this was important to you and your friends and what you guys did to raise money for the Children's Hospital.
Well, it was really important to us because we know that Rady Children's Hospital has been working really hard over the past, a while actually, trying to stop cancer and stuff. And so we got together, me, Sean, and Alex, and we did a fundraiser to see who can raise the most amount of money for Rady Children's Hospital. And when we went there, we got to see what it all went to, and so it was really cool because we know that there's a lot of patients out there with cancer, and our money went exactly to the Cancer Foundation there, so it was really cool.
The goal was $10,000. Tell us where you finished up.
We finished at $12,000, I think we're at $12,900 right now, so we exceeded the goal, and we actually got to go out to dinner because we made a bet that if we got over $10,000 then we could all go out to dinner, so it was cool.
All right, final thought. Any anxiety being on the Petco Park mound starting the game tonight?
Yeah, a little nervous, but it was fun going out there, pitching in front of the hometown, and getting to do what I love most, so it was cool.
Darren, Brady Aiken, one of the many outstanding young people, in addition to ball players, as part of this event.
Well done, Brad, and congratulations to that trio. While they were talking, Zach Shannon, the man out of Cincinnati, Ohio, with a pop-up, kind of a funky swing pop-up. A heck of a play by Nick Gordon, who's moved from short to second.
I was just worried about the impending collision between little 165-pound Nick Gordon and Justin Bellinger at first base.
Swings right over the top of that one. Here it is.
Yeah, this is great. He's coming in. You're right. Good Bellinger. I mean, if I'm Gordon, that's probably not the battle I want to pick.
That's not a ball you're really calling either in the infield. That kind of, trajectory off the bat.
So one away, Scott Hurst, Cal State Fullerton commit, plays for SGV Arsenal, his club team out of Glendora, California. Breaking ball got under that one a little bit. The left-hander on the mound is Mac Marshall. Marshall out of Georgia, Lilburn, Georgia. Headed to LSU if he doesn't sign in the draft. Parkview High School. David, tell us a little bit more about Mac.
Well, we've already seen 4 pitches from Mac Marshall. He'll pitch in the 89, 90, up to 92, 93 at times, but we've already seen a changeup that's one of the best changeups in the country, 74-mile-an-hour curveball and just an 80-mile-an-hour slider there. So he's got all the pitches right now.
That's some of the stuff that David is talking about with regard to his scouting report. What pitcher isn't trying to develop or better their changeup? Yeah, every pitcher's trying to do that.
And it's the lefties that seem to have the advantage working the off-speed pitches early. Just over the course since that scouting report is written, I've seen more Marshall, and that changeup is really coming quickly.
Ball got away from Bellinger, so another runner in scoring position in a 3-2 game.
Looked like a nice little step-off move. And I think Bellinger might have a little difficult time seeing this one. You see, he didn't move off the bag at all. There's a sun setting out in left field, which is essentially getting right in the eyes of Bellinger.
You're exactly right on that one, Burnsy. It's funny when you talk about the shadows, they get tough, but then what sun is left gets tough. Especially when it's peeking through concourses and cracks and reflections, and I think that's exactly what happened. Derek Hill struck out back in the first inning. Runner heading to third, throw a little bit high, popping down with the tag. The man who drove in a run a moment ago, Taekwon Forbes.
And you see how quickly he delivers the ball to home plate. I mean, that alone is going to shut down the running. That's what a lot of these guys, and Marshall is just fantastic getting the ball there. I didn't have the stopwatch out on that one, but I have to imagine probably 1-2, 1-3, you're not going to steal third base against somebody who's delivering the ball to home plate. As pitchers figure it out as they get going. Right now, it's all about velocity. They want to show the scouts and everything else, but when it comes to winning baseball games, controlling the run game is huge. And they're going to need to have to learn how to do that. And Marshall's obviously ahead of the curve here. Yeah,
I should mention that Marshall's coach in high school, Chan Brown, is also the head coach of the East team here. So obviously he gets very high quality coaching back in Georgia.
Two and two, the count, a couple of outs. 3-2 is the score. The East squad, the home team, even though we're on the West Coast, with the lead. He'll fouls that one off his foot, and he'll hop around for a moment. Hill moving from Iowa to California just to get a little bit more active with the weather. And taking advantage of that, spending more time with Dad, Orsino, who, as we mentioned earlier, is a scout in the Dodgers organization.
Didn't feel good.
Little number right off the end of the bat. Well, if that's a developing changeup, that's a pretty good one.
Yes, that's a very good one.
Are you kidding me? Nice pitch. There's that sunlight.
The view Bellinger had over there at first base.
Father Orsino being a baseball guy, I'm sure this was not just random coincidence. Derek Hill playing at Elk Grove High School, one of the best programs in Northern California, and the alma mater of Rowdy Tellez, a 2012 perfect game All-American.
I remember Rowdy with some pretty big power. Is that correct?
Yes, Rowdy was in the Justin Bellinger, Tyler Kolek size of athlete, and huge power.
Roddy Perez, we like to call him.
So up there in that neck of the woods.
Or I should say I like to call him.
Where's St. Francis High School?
St. Francis in Mountain View, California. It's my alma mater. It's about 25, 30 miles south of San Francisco, a little bit north of San Jose.
3-2 with 2 outs. I will no longer call that a developing changeup. That is a changeup that plays, in a very, very good one. At some point in a bit, we may have a guy stop by who's got a pretty good changeup. Stay tuned. The history of this game certainly very respected. And you talk about this year's draft, 41 of the perfect game All-American participants signing with the teams that picked them, and a very lucrative package that went to those players on average. And of course, the total excludes 4 players whose bonuses have not yet been revealed. Very special tie-in. That's why more than 200 scouts are in attendance. Perfect Game All-American Classic presented by Rawlings as we roll on to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. First of all, behind the plate, Jackson Reitz. We've seen him active, driving a ball into right center field, a double and an RBI. And so Nebraska behind the plate, Hawaii on the mound. Out of Hilo, Hawaii, Cody Medeiros, the left-hander, and certainly excited to see a young man from Canada and a young man from the islands to come and play in the All-American Classic, as he faces Nick Gordon with a fastball in. Gordon singled and scored back in the 1st inning.
Yikes, David, that looks like some funky stuff.
Wait till you see the breaking ball. That's all I have to say, is wait till you see Cody Medeiros' breaking ball. And be glad you're not a left-hander standing in that batter's box.
There it is.
Yeah, Cody Medeiros has a very interesting background, that he came to the National Showcase in June, and we'd never seen him before. It was a recommendation from some people we trust, and he was the first pitcher to take the mound in Minneapolis, and his first pitch, I think, was 93 or 94, and we're like, whoa, who is this on the mound? And then we found out his curveball's better than his fastball. An immensely talented young man who gets serious life on his fastball.
Real deceptive. And you could see it's almost like he kind of hides the ball, and it almost shoots out of his ear. As a hitter, it makes it very difficult to pick up the ball.
And when it's 92, 94 with life, it makes it very difficult to hit even if you know it's coming.
Greg Dykman was hit by a breaking ball after the strikeout of Gordon. Dykman gets the task of facing Medeiros. As we mentioned, that last one, 94 with sink.
You just saw the breaking ball again. It looked like a wiffle ball.
And scouts always love it when there's a premium prospect from Hawaii, because that told you, Eric.
What is that? That pitch should be illegal. Are you kidding me?
And then 93 miles an hour to follow it up.
When I get back to MLB Network, I'm going to do a breakdown on that pitch that we just saw. I'm gonna put together all our research guys and pull out the angles and everything and figure out how far exactly that pitch broke.
And I've got to think, David, that pitch alone set up the other two fastballs that followed it.
Yeah, and you see it's just not 92, 94, though. It's, as Eric said, there's deception. And look at the late life on Cody Medeiros' pitches. And look quickly, he's thrown 7 pitches and has 2 outs already.
Into the dirt it goes, and Michael Geddes struck out looking back in the first inning. They're excited, by the way, on the islands, very excited. Waiakea High School, they've done features on the local news there. His team won the state title. They keep an eye on Colton Wong, who's a Cardinals prospect. That one off the catcher's mitt of Reitz. Colton Wong is in AAA. Memphis hitting over 300. He's out of Waiakea High School as well. But just a handful of professional players from Hawaii, and this young man they're very proud of on the mound.
Well, they love their baseball in Hawaii. University of Hawaii for a long time has had a very successful baseball program. It's incredible the attendance that they get. I know when I was at UCLA, we used to travel there every single year, and I always looked forward to that trip, probably more than any other trip that we made, because we were going to have a ton of people in the stands and every game televised on TV.
The talented Geddes puts it on the ground, and a very special inning for Cody Medeiros. Somewhere high fives all around the islands as those are in the dugout. Trevor Hoffman joins us. Glad to have you here. Trevor Hoffman, Eric Burns, Darren Sutton. You have over the last couple of years been the honorary chairman, but you're kind of more of a big brother to these guys and a father a little bit because you have guys not too far away. For you, it's been a lot of advice offering, hasn't it?
You know, wearing a lot of different hats to these guys over the last couple days, and having the opportunity to get together with each team and in the locker room over at USD and just kind of have a roundtable kind of talk about what it's like to be a big leaguer and what it's going to take a little bit on your end, because their futures are certainly bright, and hopefully you can avoid some pitfalls for them.
Baseball's dramatically changed. Eric was talking about when he played, and now as your sons get older, heading to 16 years old, baseball may be in their future. It's a different landscape as a player now, isn't it?
It's very competitive, and the talent level is going up and up. They keep pushing the envelope in that regard, and so you know what? It's important to keep it in perspective, too, that these guys, as bright as their futures are, they're still children. They're still young adolescents, and there's a lot of learning left to be done.
I was just telling some of the kids today, Trevor, about a ball that I hit. It was actually off of you. That I thought I had just won the game. And it was out to left center field. And here comes Mike Cameron out of nowhere and hauls it in. And when I first got to Petco today, I looked out the left center field and I thought to myself, if only they had moved the fences in 2007 or 2000, whenever it was, that I had hit that ball. Anyhow.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they hadn't had a move in, because you're right. It would have been in the bullpen as it sits today, as I'm sure a few left-handed hitters that won't come back through Petco have enjoyed looking at the Jack deck as well.
Kobe Johnson is on the mound out of Holiday, Florida, the right-hander. The number 2 right-handed pitching prospect in the state of Florida, J.W. Mitchell High School. And he threw 90 to 93 at a showcase in East Cobb at a tournament, as that fastball is strike 3 over the outside corner. Bryce Carter goes down on strikes and gives way to local San Diego prospect Alex Jackson. Here is the scouting report. What have you seen with these arms to this point, Mr. Hoffman?
You know, pretty free and easy, to be very honest with you. I don't think anybody's really looked like they're laboring by any means at touching the low 90s and having command in the zone. I just see a lot of fluidity through their mechanics.
Fastball at 90 miles an hour. Alex fouls it off.
These guys' talent level, I mean, I don't know why you should be surprised. These are the best players in the country, and they're going into their senior year. I did not expect them to be this developed, though.
Pretty polished, aren't they?
Wow.
And you know what's the great thing about this game is they're actually getting to put their talents against equal talent. I mean, so often these kids are coming from their hometowns where they're just literally dominating their talent around them. And so now they get a chance to be on an even playing field to an extent. And so it translates for a better eye for our scouts and all the different people taking a look at them in the stands now.
Very good 12-6 breaking ball there to Alex Jackson. And fun to see Kobe Johnson showcase that one, and another one dives low and away. Some still working on their secondary pitches, and some, as Eric has talked about a lot, are center fielders and shortstops that are learning how to work on the mound because they have great arms.
You know, it's a lot of these kids probably wouldn't get to their second or third pitch in these type of situations. And, you know, again, going back to not to belabor a point, but back to their hometowns, they're dominating so many people. They're probably throwing their breaking balls in between innings so the scouts can see what it looks like because they don't need to go do it during their regular season.
2-2 the count. Change of pace and a really good changeup for a man who had a really good changeup. You have to tell us about that pitch.
Hey, you know what you're looking for right there is just some good arm speed. You want it to make it look like a fastball and let the grip do what it wants. It's diving down into a right-handed thrower. You don't see that too much where they're comfortable to throw that pitch, but he committed to the pitch and threw it the way it should be thrown.
How were you able to get it done with for all those years? I mean, I would go up there and look changeup, and I would still be out in front of it against you. It didn't matter what I did as a hitter. You were still able to, and then it seemed like also, and I might be wrong on this, but you would throw different changeups. It wasn't just the same changeup over and over where I'd be able to sit back and try to figure it out or time it up.
The beauty of it was that I tried to keep it simple, you know, and I thought fastball even when it was a changeup and allowed that grip to ultimately take over whatever direction the ball wanted to go. And so sometimes I would get different looks out of it, but more often than not, I think the fact that I was able to keep it simple allowed the pitch to work.
Trevor Hoffman, honorary chairman and future Hall of Famer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Welcome back to the Perfect Game All-American Classic. It's presented by Rawlings. Eric Burns, David Ronsley down in the dugout. Brett Dolan. My name is Darren Sutton here in beautiful San Diego, California. Glad to have you with us. Out of Ankeny, Iowa, Keaton McKinney, the left-hander, 6'5", 220. We saw a very good changeup. Check that, the right-hander with a very good changeup. We saw one half inning ago. In that last inning of work, Kobe Johnson with a fabulous change of pace.
Oh, and he backed it up right after he threw the breaking ball. You see him start off McKinney. McKinney starts off with a changeup here.
Yeah, I almost wanted to say, Trevor, you should stay on the air for another inning because the pitcher that I consider to have the best changeup in this class is coming on the mound, and there's another one.
Wow.
So?
It's filthy. I mean, just like you said, I mean, Trevor. See, the thing that made Trevor so difficult to hit is he would throw any pitch anytime. Kind of like McKinney started off. Obviously, that was his bread and butter. And much like Mariano Rivera, where you know the cutter's going to come, you know the changeup's coming as a hitter, it still makes it very difficult to hit.
We just saw 4 pitches there, 3 of them changeups, and a strikeout for out number 1.
Braxton Davidson drove in a run back in the first inning with a well-struck sacrifice fly. He goes down on strikes here.
I mean, just look at it drop. It comes out, it's looking like a fastball, and the real good, nice late life. We talk about late life for a fastball. Late life for a changeup is almost the exact opposite, where a fastball, good late life, is riding through zone. Good late life for a changeup is doing the exact action that McKinney has it doing, falling off the table.
Well, Keaton McKinney's had a very good teacher for that changeup. Jeremy Hellickson, former All-American,
Sure.
of course, now Tampa starter, but also an Iowa native, and I'm told they worked together during the offseason, and that's where McKinney picked up that changeup.
2-0 the count on Kel Johnson out of Palmetto, Georgia. Kel, a homeschooled student, competes for the East Cobb Braves, also runs with the prep team cross country, so a big kid but in great shape if he's running cross country. The number 2 outfield prospect in the state of Georgia.
It's a man after my heart right there.
Good change of pace. He's not quite Iron Man like you.
Well, let's give him a little bit of time. Play 15 years in the big leagues, and next thing you know, he can join me.
That one is outside. Just find new ways to stay in shape, right?
Yeah,
you just do it so you can eat a lot. That's the only reason you do it.
I don't know exactly how or why I got into it, but I love it. Definitely a way to keep that kind of competitive edge that I got so accustomed to through the course of all the years of playing baseball.
Kel Johnson draws the walk. He is on. Fun to watch McKinney. Again, we have seen big arms already. Tyler Kolek has shown us a big arm. Medeiros from Hawaii has shown a big arm, the left-hander, but we're starting to see some more specialty pitches too. Slugger Justin Bellinger. Sinking fastball, 0-1 the count. Out of Needham, Mass, his dad played college football at Northeastern. His mom was a competitive runner at Northeastern as well. There's that changeup, 0-2 the count on Bellinger.
He's 6'6", and you see him crouch down a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if a little bit later on you'll see wherever he goes to college, or if he ends up signing, they'll probably get him a little more upright. Let him take advantage of the leverage that he has.
Yeah, and that's something I've commented frequently actually about in scouting reports, something that he's comfortable with now, but he can handle the quality pitching that he sees on a regular basis with that. But as the pitching gets better, I think he is going to have to straighten up a bit, whether that's at Vanderbilt where he's committed or in professional baseball.
Well, good for him. He's crushing it in the classroom if he's a Vanderbilt commit. Taking care of his grades up at St. Sebastian School, two-time honor roll member. Justin Smith singled and scored back in the second inning.
And something that McKinney has also done that makes the changeup all the much more effective. 3 batters so far, 3 first pitch strikes, and it just sets him up to be able to do whatever he wants with that changeup.
Pulled that one a bit, 1-1 the count.
He does have a curveball, and it's a pretty good curveball, upper 70s. Haven't seen him use it yet, and maybe this is the count to see it on for the first time.
You were talking about that relationship with former perfect game All-American Hellickson. His older brother, played with Hellickson, and he would bat boy with the group. So kind of the tag along, a la Justin and B.J. Upton. He doesn't throw anything straight, does he?
No, I mean that's real nice two-seam fastball action, 90 miles per hour. And I think the greatest thing about it is that it comes out of his hand, everything comes out looking the same, and you don't know if it's going to be the fastball or the changeup.
If you can live in with that movement on the fastball and just changeup.
And the thing about another thing to remember about McKinney, it said there, until a year ago, he was a primary first baseman. He started off in high school as a catcher, outgrew the catching position, moved to first base, and really didn't pitch much until literally in the last year. And of course, the lessons from Jeremy Hellickson have helped, but the 93-mile-an-hour fastball and that killer changeup, that's tough.
Trevor Hoffman would be proud.
Burying fastballs in, throwing changeups, tantalizing changeups away. Try staying back on these pitches, and it's very tough for these guys to do it. Come on, guys, stay back if you can. Too tough, 3-2. Perfect Game All-American Classic presented by Rawlings, the #1 brand in baseball, and sponsored in part by Evo Shield, the protective choice of over 250 pro and college teams, and by Perfect Game, baseball's largest and most respected independent scouting and tournament provider. Stories of talent, stories of family, but stories of overcoming adversity certainly. Last night's winner of the Nick Adenhart Trophy will pitch in a bit. His name is Devin Smeltzer. There's a reason why he earned that award. Let's go down to Brett Dolan to explain. Brett?
Yeah, there certainly is, Darren. And Devin, great to have you with us today. The Nick Adenhart Award, outstanding last night. And you went to Rady's Children's Hospital along with your teammates the other day, but it had greater significance for you.
Yeah, being there and going through what those kids go through, I really looked up to survivors when I was there, and they're really the only people who give you hope. So I know going there, I had fun playing with the kids and seeing the smiles on their faces.
You were diagnosed with cancer at the age of 10. You are a survivor. So not only did you go talk to those kids as a survivor, you're a great inspiration, a player that's now one of the top 51 players in the country.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. Have a long road ahead of me, but going to keep helping, giving back, and keep working hard to get where I want to be.
I would imagine this has provided you with a great deal of perspective, what you had to overcome to get here now going forward.
Definitely. I mean, I know that it's just a game, but it's what got me through it, and I love the game more than anything.
It's Devin Smeltzer. What a great inspiration. Back up to you guys.
Brett, thank you very much. He was 9 years old, and some discomfort and some visits to the doctors, and what followed was a tumor that was up against his bladder, and discomfort certainly all around the inside of his body. As a 9-year-old, they found out he had a grapefruit-sized tumor, and he beat it. He's licked it, and a great story, certainly. And you love the humility that he goes about it with. He's actually said clearly, we'll see him pitch later in the ball game. He's made it clear that as we get to know Touki Toussaint, another great story in its own right, he's made it clear that it's not about me at all anymore, this story. It's about all the survivors, so a good young man. And so is Touki Toussaint. Floridian. He faces Jack Flaherty. A guy, David, you gave us a bit of a teaser in our on-air open as we came on the air, saying that he's only played baseball and a friend traded him off. They challenged one another, and he was a soccer player, and here he is.
Yeah, he was a soccer player. His best buddy going into high school, I guess, was a baseball player. Touki said, hey, come out and play soccer with me. And he said, I will if you come out and play baseball with me. And the rest is history. And he actually started off as a center fielder and still plays center field, but showed arm strength from the beginning. And we've been looking at quality secondary pitches the last few innings, the change-ups from Keaton McKinney and Kobe Johnson and Mac Marshall, the breaking ball from Cody Medeiros. Touki Toussaint's curveball can be knee-buckling at times, and he's really done a good job of improving his other pitches. He's throwing a slider now, a little cutter, he's throwing a change-up, and could develop into a complete all-around right-hander.
Talk about player comps all the time, David. He actually looks a lot to me like Flash Gordon. The big breaking ball, mid-90s fastball.
That is a good comp. Actually, Flash told me a while back that he was a shortstop in high school. So
don't believe Flash.
Don't believe Flash. All right.
Marcus Wilson takes a fastball 92 over the outside from Touki Toussaint. Born in Haiti, moved at 6 years old, Touki Toussaint did, to Florida. Mom has really been instrumental in his life. Kahaso Kiti is mom. That one skitters into the dirt. Chase Velo is behind the plate out of Louisiana. Tried to block it up, but a wild pitch. Flaherty moves up.
Yeah, this is the new cutter or slider that Touki's developed, I think, and just got a little over that, left it in the dirt, and runner moves to second.
Touki gained legend last October. Runner heading to third, and that one sails to the backstop. And look out, diving out of the way is Marcus Wilson. That almost separated him from his helmet.
I flinched from up here. Look out, Wilson. The San Diego scouts with the radar guns back there.
I think Marcus is taking a few deep breaths right now, composing himself.
The San Diego guys, they made sure they got the best seats in the house, huh, Darren?
As the host, I guess, right?
As we've seen so far, the major challenge that Touki has right now to moving to the next level is the command, and especially the command of the fastball. Ironically enough, he can get wild at times, but he's very athletic, and I think with coaching at the next level, do a few things with the delivery. I think it's keeping him back over the rubber longer. If you watch his delivery, he gets out front really quickly and really drifts through his balance point, and that creates some inconsistency with his release point. But the quality of the pitches and the arms his arm is undeniable.
Well, the incredible thing is that you don't just pick up baseball. It's not one of those sports that you could just go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to jump into this thing. Generally, you start playing baseball when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, and you continue to play it year in and year out. and you develop as a player. I mean, we're talking about a guy that, Darren, I saw the thing that you did with him on the big board that you guys did in Minneapolis. He hadn't picked up a baseball. He hadn't so much as picked up a baseball as 4 years ago.
Right.
What's the first time? He had never played the sport, and all of a sudden he figures out, hey, I might be pretty good at this and make a lot of money.
And this, David, is one of those times, I think, and Eric ran into a lot of cool customers down there that were accustomed to this kind of pressure. This may be one of those guys, because of what Eric's talking about, that may be succumbing to a little bit of his nerves here, trying to do a little bit too much.
Yeah, and he has been on the big stage before. You mentioned last October in Jupiter, he threw 6 innings against the highest level of competition with hundreds of scouts walking, struck out 18 hitters in 6 innings in Jupiter, the pinnacle of the scouting world. And so he's been on the big stage before.
I will argue there wasn't even one deck that day, though. There are, 4 decks in this ballpark?
That would be an
And there's skyscrapers all around. I just think it's a different feeling. He was incredible that day as Sandy came through Florida with the rains falling. I was there as well. I just think this is a different feel. Right or wrong?
No, I think you're right, and you hear about it all the time. And it's the transition from the minor leagues to the big leagues. Hey, add that 3rd and 4th deck and see how the player's going to react. I think eventually with enough opportunity, you'll get what you would expect to get even at the minor league level. And I feel like it would translate to the big league level. People talk about 4A players all the time. I don't buy into that. I feel like they're generally guys that either didn't get the opportunity at the major league level, or when they did get the opportunity, they didn't take advantage of it. And it was just bad timing or bad luck on their part.
Runners on 1st and 3rd, nobody out. The talent is there. The depth is there of the young man. There's that breaking ball, and down he goes. Shoulder to knees, his coach describes his curveball.
I mean, look at this. I mean, Peters, this is a ball. I'm trying to explain to the people at home the hitter's perspective here. This thing starts over your head. So immediately you think to yourself, I'm not interested in that. I'm going to take that pitch. And then it drops all the way down in the strike zone.
There it is again.
And the difference, before we saw Dylan Cease early, who's still developing his breaking ball, and he was throwing it 73, 75 miles an hour, but it was soft. He was casting it. Toussaint's curveball stands out because it is also soft, but it is so big and has such a spin rate to it that it's a completely different pitch, even though the 2 pitchers are throwing at the same velocities.
Jackson Reitz had a stolen base. As a matter of fact, the West squad is 2 of 3 in stolen bases. He also doubled in a run back in the 2nd inning.
Now, I liken Toussaint's curveball. I had the pleasure of working in Houston when the late Darryl Kyle was coming up there and establishing his career. And he also threw a curveball that wasn't hard but was huge.
That one thrown away into right field. Reitz doing a nice job staying on that curveball. Hitting it firm out to Chavis at 3rd base, but Chavis firing it across, trying to get a couple of quick outs, unable to get any, unfortunately. Runners on 1st and 3rd. We are tied at 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you see Reitz right here. We saw him drill a ball into the opposite field gap and then stays on that curveball and smokes it right to the 3rd baseman. Unfortunately, decided the right fielder should get the ball.
So credit an RBI there. Runners on 1st and 3rd. Dykman tried to go back and get that baseball, the 2nd baseman. Changeup, and he misses outside with it. Monte Harrison. Monte grounded out back in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, is that a changeup, David? Is that the little slider thing you said he was trying to work on?
It's something. It dives. The one before dove straight down, or maybe with a little cut. That had the sink on it. I'm not really sure what it is. And in fact, I think I put in a scouting report, I put slider/change in parentheses because I hadn't determined exactly what it was yet. It's going to be a good pitch for him, and he's just really started throwing it in the last year. And I like what Chase Velo is doing behind the plate right now. And when Toussaint's missed, he's missing consistently down. And Velo's trying to give him that high target to try to get him to elevate his fastball a bit. Leaves him out of position when he throws a curveball.
Fastball fouls it back to the screen. You saw those numbers a moment ago at Coral Springs Christian Academy. His battery mate, the catcher earlier in the game, Benito Santiago, the two worked together in high school. We talked about the depth of Tookie and the amount of credit he gives his mom. There's a great quote about his mom as that one is fouled off. And I think any parent would be proud to have their kids say it. A lot of times working alone with Tookie. She's indestructible, my mom. Is there any higher compliment from a young athlete?
No.
It makes you proud to see him on this stage for his mom's sake as well.
I got to believe all the parents have got to be so proud to have their kids in this position. And
breaking ball gets away. He's got the stuff, but that one grabbed the dirt. There's no denying the break on that pitch. It is ball 4, and a run scores on the wild pitch. But he continues to fight his way through this inning a little bit.
As I said, Chase Velow is a little disadvantaged there. He's setting up high to try to elevate the fastballs, but if he starts low, he's tipping the pitch for everybody, and was out of position to try to block that curveball.
So 4-3 is the score. Here's Zach Shannon. Shannon popped up to the second baseman back in the 3rd inning. 0-1 the count. That pop up to the second base was a heck of a play by Nick Gordon.
Is that our defensive play of the game thus far, or we like Derek Hill making the catch in left field?
Ooh, good call. They're voting on it in the truck, I think, at this point. There's that lively fastball. No balls and 2 strikes to count on Shannon.
Toussaint, he's a real interesting case to me. I look at him and man, David, I feel like you're right. I mean, he just picked up this ball 4 years ago, and he's got great stuff. He's just learning how to pitch.
Yeah, and also off the field, you got to know him off the field. He is one of the most lively, happy, smiling, life of the room type individuals you ever see. Just a great young man.
When asked to list his heroes, and only young people will understand the second one who are into R&B music, he said 2 people. Jackie Robinson and Kendrick Lamar, who's a very popular R&B artist, who's very expressive in his lyrics as well. So there's a lot of depth, and there's a heck of a curveball there, too. I don't think that's 3 outs yet, is it? He wanted it to be, but that curveball and a stolen base, by the way, with the runner moving to 3rd, is strike 3.
There's a second strikeout from Toussaint there.
We've seen that on a couple hitters. That front hip, that front leg gets really loose on that pitch.
Welcome to the contest. Local product, Sean Bouchard, San Diego, California, Cathedral Catholic High School, where he plays basketball as well. He's a #1 third baseman prospect in the state of California. He gets an opportunity to hit now. Runner's moving in front of him. Pitch is called low. Throw, not in time. Runner scampers on home. A double steal.
That's another double steal.
And the West running wild on the base pass.
When Jackson Reitz comes back home to Hickman, Nebraska, they're going to look at the box score and see that he has at least 3 stolen bases this game. And wait a minute, you're the catcher. You might have been the slowest person on the team.
Bouchard takes a fastball that stays below the knees. He's committed to play at UCLA.
Like to hear that, Darren?
I figured you would.
UCLA, the reigning national champions in college baseball. I was there to celebrate with the guys in Omaha.
I was going to ask you whether you made it to Omaha for that.
Not only did I make it to Omaha, I made it in the dog pile.
Outstanding.
If you follow him on Twitter, and Eric is a worthy follow, you would have seen he was there. He had some fun pictures, certainly. Seemed like a last-minute decision to go, something you felt like you had to do as he swings through that one.
And that was exactly what it was, Darren.
It felt like it. It was fun.
I needed to be there. And my team, when we went in '97, was the first team in 30 years, the first UCLA team in 30 years to go to Omaha. And since then, it's become a pretty regular occurrence for the Bruins. And they've gotten close, and John Savage has just been fantastic there. since taking over as the head coach, and they've really built an unbelievable program. I'm just perennial powerhouse year in and year out.
Yeah, they've reached the point, especially on the West Coast, where you see a top pitcher, and if he doesn't commit to UCLA, you wonder, oh, okay, somebody really, he must have had a reason for going somewhere else, because that's where the top pitchers seem to go right now.
Speaking of top pitchers, how about that 12-6 old-fashioned double overhanded yellowhammer from Tookie Toussaint?
Uncle Chuck.
A wonderful day for these athletes. A visit to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, Top Gun, and an opportunity to step inside of an F-18 to understand how lives are saved with regard to fire safety. And Osprey, they were visiting there as well. It's just an incredible day for these young men. A couple of players on this team have fathers that have given their lives to the United States military, so they certainly were excited about it as well. 5-3 is the score. And we're glad to have you back. Introducing you to Luis Ortiz from the Fresno area. Hallmark Carter School. And the right-hander is the #1 prospect with regard to right-handed pitchers in the state of California. David, #5 in the country.
Yeah, what you're going to see from Ortiz is power stuff. Mid-90s fastball, can get up to 95, but his big pitch is a slider, and it's a true slider. We talked early in the game with Grant Holmes, the difference between a curveball and a slider. Luis Ortiz throws a true slider in that 85, 87 mile-an-hour range. It's just a great present pitch.
A lot of Fresno kids, David.
Yeah, it's, we haven't seen Trenton Kemp yet, outfielder on the West squad.
I had a chance to talk to Trenton before the game.
Yeah, so 3 players from the Fresno area along with Jacob Gatewood, so a great year for that city.
Broken bat, rolled out to third. Sticking with it is Bouchard on across the diamond in time for the out. Let's get back down to the dugout. Brett Dolan, what do you have for us?
All right, guys, every parent who has a son in this All-Star Classic has sacrificed in one way or another, time and money, traveling around the country. Kel Johnson from Georgia joins us. Now, his mother has taken things to a different level with her commitment. Tell me about what mom does that makes her special.
She has certainly taken it to a new extreme. My mom actually throws my batting practice for me, and every time she's throwing to me, a crowd will gather around. Some people are like, well, I don't know what's more impressive, the hitting or the pitching, because she'll throw it right by you. So I'm always telling her, I'm like, Mom, you got to slow it down a little bit. I can't get to that one, and she runs it up there a little over 70 miles an hour.
Now, if you ever get to a Major League All-Star game and a chance to compete in a home run derby, will Mom come out of the stands and pitch to you?
That's a really good question. Actually, I hit in the home run derby for the 18U Junior Select Home Run Derby about a month ago, and we contemplated that, having her come out and throw it to me. We opted not to in the end, but we definitely talked about it.
Guys, Kel says if they go a couple of days without throwing, Mom says, let's go. I need to throw.
Good stuff.
You got to be kidding me. His mother, Rhonda. That's fantastic. And Kel, how do you not have her throw to you during the... I'm having her throw to you. I think this is one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
Eric, have you ever taken batting practice, not necessarily off your mother, but a female batting practice pitcher?
Have you heard of that before? I had a big battle when I was in high school with the ace softball pitcher. And so we ended up going out there, and I don't want to talk about it. It did not work out too well. But think about this. Like, Mom, hey, Mom, let's go out for some BP. And it's just not that a mother could not throw BP. It's not physically capable of doing it. But you just don't see it every day, do you, David?
No, you don't. You also don't see a pitcher like Luis Ortiz, been up to 94 with that slider. 94 again there for Paul 1.
1-0 the count to Michael Chavis, his first at bat of the contest. And that one with good life on it at 93 sinks low out of Marietta, Georgia. Sprayberry High School. #1 third base prospect in the United States. And he was the winner of the Rawlings Home Run Derby yesterday out at the University of San Diego. A fluttering changeup dives low and inside.
I like Chavis's approach. Real calm, nice and quiet. It's like he's just calm before his... Bam! Ha ha!
That's exactly right.
That right there, David, right? Is that some good commentary?
That's some
right. Just talking through it.
And you've never seen Michael Chavis
no,
before.
I could just tell from the approach. I've never seen him. You see it with a leg kick yesterday during the home run derby, but here he is today. Go ahead and celebrate, kid.
Yeah, Michael Chavis only listed at 5'11", but has incredible power, and he swings with violence. He wants to hit that ball hard, and he certainly did on that one.
Line drive right back through the boxes. Burns, he called right on the money. Quiet swing, but explosive. And again, didn't try to pull something he shouldn't try to pull.
No, and I mentioned that you saw the leg kick during the home run derby, and one of the reasons why I said I liked his approach just watching him here today. Not a whole lot of movement with his lower body or his upper body. Real quiet, nice and smooth, soft on the front side.
Big right arm from Ortiz. We're seeing it. A credit to him a couple of years back. He dropped about 30 pounds. He was bigger and thicker, wanted to get in better shape as the runner's on the move. Throw is on the money, but unable to hold on to it out there. And you talk about explosive swings and how he goes after it.
You see the leg kick, but again, it's really short. It's a short swing for having as much power as he does. You see a lot of the home run guys. I pick a guy like an Adam Dunn or something. He has a real long swing, so unless the pitch is in a certain spot, it becomes very difficult, and guys' tendencies will have a lot of holes in their swing. I know I have plenty of holes in my swing, but with Chavis, it's short, quick, and explosive.
Right back below us as that one rattles around.
So you see the difference. Now here he just kind of picks up his foot, barely even leaves the ground, if it leaves the ground at all. And he just absolutely unloads.
That was a sweet swing there.
Right back up the box.
2-2 the count. Ortiz trying to clean things up. He does. It gets by, though, on an opportunity to reach on a drop third strike. Aggressive base running, a big wide turn. The throw comes home. Everybody's safe. Chavis takes advantage, races all the way around. And all of that started on a wicked breaking ball.
Yeah, a wicked Ortiz slider, the one that David's been telling us about.
Almost looked crossed up by that one.
Uh-huh.
And one thing you have to remember in respect of the catchers here, we've seen a couple instances like that where they look like cross-ups, balls going off mitts. These catchers have probably never caught these pitchers before, and not only is there a lack of familiarity, you're coming in with big league quality breaking balls, 94-mile-an-hour fastballs that are hard enough to catch anyway, and you've never seen them before. You may not have even caught his bullpen before the game loosening up.
3 runs scored in the top half of the inning. A run follows up here in the bottom half. 5 fours are scored. Nick Gordon singled and scored. And he also has struck out, one of 11 strikeouts already for the West squad. 11 strikeouts. We're in the 5th inning. Another quick note on Ortiz. His mom, Maria, and his grandfather raised him, and certainly very proud. His mom, his grandfather passed away several years ago. Gordon drives it to left field. Right there to haul it in and make the play. Pretty good approach. Darius Day put it away. A big right arm, and I'm sure they're proud of Mr. Ortiz in the Fresno area. The Perfect Game All-American Classic is brought to you by Evo Shield, the protective choice of over 250 pro and college teams. So Harold Reynolds, he trusts his baseball instincts, and Brian Kenny favors stats. Now old school battles new school, plus highlights and news of the day. It's MLB Now. It's weekdays at 4 Eastern on MLB Network, presented by MasterCard. Well, pitching has ruled the day in this contest. We have seen some miscues defensively, some pitches that were a bit wild that allowed runners to move up. The West squad has already struck out 11 of the 15 outs they have retired. Meantime, we go back to the East squad out on the mound. A young man out of Hamilton, New Jersey, Joe Gatto, takes over. The right-hander out of St. Augustine College Prep, 6'5", 215.
Yeah, Joe Gatto has improved as much in the last year and a half or so as any pitcher in the country. We had him at events a summer, a year and a half ago, where he's topping out at 82, 83 miles an hour. But got up to 87 last summer, now up to 94. I've seen him up to 94 in the last couple of weeks. Has very high quality secondary pitches, but really is a primary fastball pitcher now who will need to learn his pitches, to mix his pitches better in the future.
And John Littell, his first opportunity to make an appearance in the Perfect Game All-American Classic out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. If he doesn't sign next spring or next summer, he'll go play for Josh Holliday, the new head coach at Oklahoma State. Matt's younger brother. Swing and a miss. And a diving fastball, 0-1 the count on Littell.
Had to imagine that he'd end up at Oklahoma State.
You better, or he'll knock on your door, right?
Absolutely.
It's coach knocking. He wants to talk to you. So congratulations to the young man out of Oklahoma earning the invite. His father, the women's basketball coach at Oklahoma State University, Jim.
Then it really would have been someone if you went to Oklahoma.
Breaking ball is high.
Become a Sooner.
John, the #1 outfield prospect in the state of Oklahoma. Bats that were taken by Bryce Carter earlier has him reaching. Gatto hops off the mound and fires in time for the out. Big fella made that play look pretty easy. You know, Joe and Patty, mom and dad, haven't been able to come to all of the events this summer. They've enlisted the helps of aunts and uncles and friends of the family from back in New Jersey to travel with them when they can. I would imagine it's a very proud day back in New Jersey. Hardworking family always can't get every vacation day they want. That one is stroked into center field. Welcome to the contest, Trenton Kemp.
That's my
guy.
That's
a young man you got to speak with. He greets him very rudely, does Gatto, and Kemp out of Clovis, California with a base hit.
You're right, and another Fresno kid, a football player that really just now started focusing on baseball. Now, I was talking to him. I think it's pinch run for it. Hang with him, I guess that'd be it. Dealing with a little bit of hamstring issue, Dave?
Yeah, Kemp's been dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue lately, and I don't think we'll see him in the field tonight either, but it's very nice to see him hit. Because he came to the National Showcase as a pretty much an unknown and absolutely lit Minneapolis on fire with his bat.
Alex Jackson into center field with a base hit. The pinch runner, Derek Hill. Hustling on around, that ankle tweaked. It looks pretty comfortable for Jackson. Guys, a couple of nights ago, he rolled over his ankle at first base, and it didn't look too good. We wondered if he should, take this game off, be the host. He's already the #1 prospect in the land. He worked with it. He iced it. He kept it elevated while still making every appearance that goes along with this game, and he looks fine.
Well, no reason why he should be embarrassed to have Miley Cyrus in his iPod. She's a regular on my playlist.
Breaking ball is outside to Jacob Gatewood.
Be proud, Jackson, be proud. Gatewood's another Fresno.
Yes, another Fresno
product.
Bouncing ball knocked down out there by Gatto. Is there a play? There isn't. Let's hope everything's all right with him. He took a look after he knocked that ball down. And they'll come out. His head coach, Chan Brown, Parkview High School head coach, and the manager of this squad.
Another good approach. Gatewood right back up the middle. That's really the thing that's impressed me about all these guys is how refined they are as baseball players. Sure, you realize there was going to be some toolsies guys out there. I didn't think I'd see as many as there are, but I definitely did not expect them to be this developed as baseball players.
Well, they play so much now, I think, compared to when I played, when Darren played, when you played even 15 years ago, 20 years ago in high school. They'll go out and play their high school seasons in the spring and play 30 games. But then between June the 1st and November the 1st, they'll probably play another 75 to 100 games, depending on what program they're with. So it's a full-time job during the summer. You're playing baseball literally every day, somewhere, different parts of the country. And with that much repetition, baseball is a game of repetition. You're going to develop those skills.
Flaherty's been on a couple of times. He has walked twice, scored 2 runs, 6-4, the West team leading it. West wearing the white uniforms, the East wearing the blue uniforms.
I think the East won the battle of uniforms. I love the old school 1980s Cardinal look.
I do too. Rawlings tries to be creative every year with what these players wear. They had more of the old school Astros stripe, kind of the ribcage stripes that went across. Different colors, not orange obviously, but that same concept last year, and it was fun. So tip of the cap to Rawlings. A lot of research and development for safety, but in this one the creative R&D staff goes to work. Flaherty is committed to go to North Carolina as he pulls that good-looking curveball foul. He's from out here, from Southern Cal, but North Carolina the right fit for him. This year's Los Angeles Times Player of the Year, quite an honor. This is baseball country to earn that honor.
Sure, there's some schools in Southern California and the West Coast are disappointed they won't be getting Flaherty services over the next 3 seasons if he ends up going to school.
Say North Carolina is not a cinch to get his services either.
Good fastball riding in and a strikeout there for Gatto. When you talk about Joe out there on the mound as he faces Stone Garrett, he gives a ton of credit to his Uncle Frank. Mom, Dad, very active in his life, but his uncle's been his pitching coach since he was 9 years old. Breaking ball to Stone, bounces in there. Garrett's first at bat out of Sugar Land, Texas. And Stone, one of those gentlemen we talked about when we showed you Miramar earlier, his father, a 2-decade career in the United States Navy. Two 2-0 the count.
Garrett's a strong right-handed hitter, and that's the defining characteristic of him as a player. He's a 6'4", runner, so he runs very well for his size, good outfield arm, but he has a strength, a hand and upper body strength, and when he squares up the ball, it really explodes off the barrel hard.
Whew.
Nice range flip into the air by Gordon. They're going to go ahead and try to score a run on that flip. Throw to the plate, sliding in safely is Jackson. An ankle looks just fine. Gordon, a great effort just to get there. He saved the run, but then he gave it back trying to get the out.
Yeah, it was almost a spectacular play, and Nick Gordon has an aptitude for that. As hard contact by Stone Garrett right up the middle again, Eric, as we've been talking about. Gets the ball fine. That didn't quite work.
Nah, but you might as well go for it.
You might. Oh, yes, you definitely try that. Someday it will. He's probably done that in the past successfully.
I love that response. Here's Darius Day. This is another great story. A young man out of Chicago, Illinois, Simeon Career Academy. Great to see the city of Chicago and prep baseball represented in this game.
I have to imagine, David, still the majority of the prospects come from California, Texas, Florida. Is that correct?
Those would be the top 3. Georgia is kind of like creeping into that as a 4th state. A lot of strong baseball being played in the Mid-Atlantic from North Carolina, New Jersey, Virginia. But as we see in the rosters today with players from Iowa and Canada and Nebraska, it's really, you know, this All-American game takes players literally from all over North America.
0-2 the count on the talented Day. Chases a fastball after a pretty good curveball, but a couple of key knocks from the gentleman for the West squad. 7-4 is our score. More from San Diego in a moment. Let's take a look at tonight's Rawlings Gold Glove defensive play of the game. Nick Gordon, courageous coming in and a diving stab in front of Justin Bellinger. Our Rawlings Gold Glove defensive play of the game. Rawlings proud partner and presenting partner of this contest. With more on that, we get it on down to Brett Dolan. Take it away, Brett.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. The director of Rawlings Sports Marketing, Mark Kramer, joins us here today, an outstanding presenting sponsor. And sometimes in these All-Star Classics, it's all about swag, and these players have made off like bandits. You and Perfect Game combined to provide these players a tremendous gift right out of the gates.
Yeah, right out of the gates, we wanted to get them a custom glove, let them go through the process of what all the pros go through down at spring training. And we can go through everything from the laces to the Keller to Pro Preferred, Heart of the Hide. It really is a good item for them, something that they'll remember and remember the game about.
Yeah, that's big league like most things here at this All-Star Classic. Now, last night at the banquet, Rawlings and yourself also presented the Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah, Derek Hill. I mean, he is a tremendous athlete. The plays he makes in the outfield, it's something that resembles, Torrey Hunter. I mean, it's his idol, so it's a good thing. He's a good guy.
All right, Rawlings is always on the cutting edge of innovation with new products here in baseball. What's next for the company?
Right now, we just launched our RPR program, which is our S100s, our Pro Comps, our 90 mile an hour, 80 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour, which basically takes the bar and moves it up. The normal NOXY standard is 68 miles an hour, and we've upped that, so it's a good
Thanks
thing.
so much for being part of this event. Rawlings is a tremendous presenting sponsor, and it is a perfect marriage with Perfect Game.
Absolutely. This is a great event. You can see it with the uniforms and how we try to showcase the event. Every year we try to come out with something new, and we think we did that again this year.
Yeah, I love the powder blue uniforms. That's Mark Kramer of Rawlings, and we'll send it back upstairs to Darren.
Yeah, good stuff. And like on cue, Darius Day went to work, and there's some nooks and crannies, and it's almost like going through a maze. That was a fine play. That's a lot of the time that you spent out there in left field.
That was a really nice play.
Carl Chester, the hitter. The ball was popped off the bat of Greg Dykman.
Well, he's never really played her too. You see how the wall kind of stops there, but what happens a lot of times is the pop-up like that will come back the other way, and it's something that these guys are going to learn. They will learn as they're out there more and they're playing more, and especially when you're dealing with new ballparks and different dimensions and everything else. But it's one of the things I know that I learned, and I had to continue to learn probably till the end of my career. It's just being able to adjust in the outfield at any time.
Speaking of adjustment, Carl Chester adjusting on that breaking ball. Instead of trying to pull it and giving himself up, he just moved it to the other side, that ground ball, and we have outstanding speed on it. Chester, we told you, he ran a 6.2860. He did that at the National Showcase. That base hit, by the way, against our new pitcher, Brandon Murray, Indiana native, out of Hobart High School, where he's football, basketball player his first couple of years, and he's the #1 right-handed pitcher and the #1 prospect, David, in the state of Indiana.
I think we're probably going to see a runner going here in Carl Chester. Maybe not on the first pitch, but I think it's going to happen.
Tell us about Brandon, please.
Brandon Murray's a fireballer. He makes no apologies that the fastball is his best pitch. He has some effort. He likes to throw the ball hard, and he can. He's been up to 96, 97 miles an hour. 92, 93 early here. There's Chester gone.
Got him.
Beautiful throw right on top of the bag. Bryce Carter out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Put it right there with the fastest runner in the game.
Yeah, what a great throw. But I'll tell you what, you see the lead, and it's not a great lead. It's something that I think Chester eventually is gonna have to work on. I mean, you see guys all the time, they're really, really fast, that don't steal a lot of bases, they're not very successful. It really comes down, for me, it's the lead, and it's also the jump. But first and foremost, you got to figure out where you're comfortable and how easy it is to be able to get back.
Now, you had a big stolen base here one year, what, 50 out of 54 or something like that?
Well, you know what? I came up with the Oakland A's organization, David, and it was a sin to get thrown out on the base path. So I credit them for really having me choose and pick my spots where I knew I was going to be successful. But the reason I was relatively fast, but I wasn't the fastest guy in the league by any means. But what I did is I would get these huge leads, and I would get to a point where I knew I'd be able to get back to first base, but I would push the envelope, and I was able to get some decent jumps.
3-2 with 2 outs on Braxton Davidson. He fouls it back to the screen. Okay, so David, about Davidson, I saw him pitch the other night. We did. We've seen him play in the outfield and first. This is a guy that's still figuring his spot because you rank him as a very high prospect.
Yeah, he's, as I mentioned at the top of the show, he might be the best hitting prospect in the country for me when you combine the hit tool and the power tool. He's a big young man, 6'3", 215, and he runs well enough to play the outfield and throws well enough now, but you want to think, okay, what happens when that 17-year-old body is 25 or 30 years old? I think he eventually ends up at first base, but he's going to be a very good athlete and a good defender at first base.
Can he pitch a little bit, though?
I'm sure he could pitch in college at University of North Carolina, but I think it's a hobby for him at best.
He looked good the other night. That breaking ball missed away. He is on with a walk.
David, if you had to try to project right now, I mean, we're over a year out, or I guess a little less than a year out. Who would you consider the #1 prospect when it comes to the Major League Baseball draft?
High school and college together?
No, let's just talk to the high school
here.
We're doing the perfect game.
I think you have to talk about Alex Jackson. Of course, he's the #1 ranked player in the country, and he has such a diverse set of skills, whether it's a catcher, an outfielder, or a right-handed hitter. But pitchers move up there, and when you have somebody like Tyler Kolek, who is still, the scouts are still getting to know, but who throws mid-90s so easily, can spin the ball right now. You can think of him down the road as a potential #1 starter with that mid to upper 90s fastball that he maintains, the second pitch. He'll develop the changeup, but that kind of package of tools in that body don't come along very often.
If you were listening earlier, you heard about Kel Johnson's mom, Rhonda, and her abilities on the mound. We don't know where she'll go in the draft next year, but she throws some of the best batting practice in the country. And to quote son, better than most dads. As a matter of fact, better than almost all dads.
It's my favorite story of the night, of all the great stories that we've heard.
He hit 11 home runs in that junior home run derby in New York, Citi Field. Pitches high to Kel Johnson. 6'4", 210 out of Palmetto, Georgia. A Georgia Tech commit. Plays for the very successful East Cobb Braves program. You know what else I like? He's an active volunteer at the Ronald McDonald House in Atlanta. Kids battling cancer and their families involved. Didn't mean to. 2-2.
I'm not so sure about maybe his baseball skills, although I think there is a little bit. But when he was talking to us earlier, I definitely thought about Hunter Pence.
Oh.
And with that swing right there, it looks like Hunter Pence's on-deck swing that he does, if you've ever watched that.
Swing and a miss at a good breaking ball there. Brandon Murray shows a good bender, the pride of Hobart, Indiana. Having some fun. Mom doesn't have this one, I don't think. The Perfect Game All-American Classic is presented by Rawlings. It's the #1 brand in baseball and sponsored in part by Perfect Game, baseball's largest and most respected independent scouting and tournament provider. Incredible night last night at the San Diego Hall of Champions, the annual award ceremony leading up to this game. These gentlemen were gentlemen, certainly treated to a fine dinner and insightful speech from their honorary chairman, Trevor Hoffman, and then the awards, Baseball America Pitcher of the Year, Tyler Kolek. And that was just award #1. It was a pleasure to see Devin Smeltzer, who recovered from cancer, win the Nick Adenhart Trophy as he beat cancer. The Swag Award presented by Evo Shield, Jacob Gatewood won that Swag Award. The Baseball Prospectus Prospect Award going to the talented Alex Jackson. The Defensive Player of the Year, Derek Hill, presented by Rawlings. And the Jackie Robinson Award winner last night, the High School Player of the Year, presented to Nick Gordon. So it was a fine night last night. The San Diego Hall of Champions and Trevor Hoffman and the San Diego Padres acting as our host, and another unforgettable evening. Good rising fastball. That one jumps up and out of there. Allow us to introduce you to Jacksonville, Florida's Sean Reed Foley, 6'3", about 200 pounds. Sandalwood High School, FTB Chandler is his travel squad, and that is some wicked stuff. And it elicited a fine reaction from the man sitting to my right.
Wow.
That was like a sound effect you gave that one.
Well, it's right. Coming on the heels of the 93, 94 mile per hour fastball that was riding up and in at the batter's head, and then he backs it up with a slider that, I mean, my goodness. Is this wiffle ball again?
That's what you call the Frisbee slider, right?
Kind of an easy slinging delivery, too. A whip with that arm and jumps at the end.
Sergio Romo is probably known to have the best slider in Major League Baseball right now. That was every bit as good, if not better, than Sergio Romo. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to say that was better.
Very impressive.
So now it's just doing it in the ninth inning.
The thing about Sergio Romo, that he also not only doing it in the ninth inning, but he puts it where he wants when he wants.
Ice water in his veins as well. That one dives low. You're exactly right. 1-2 the count. Foley's another one. He's the second of the kids whose father served our country. His father 30 years in the United States Coast Guard.
Awesome. Great that we're here in this military town. Every Sunday, the Padres still sport their camo.
They host the United States Marine Corps, filling up at Upper Deck in right field. Very strong, as you mentioned, military town. And so Sean was glad to talk with us about that the other day. Everything moves. Everything's got life.
Great late life.
Monte Harrison goes down on strikes. He's already been on with a stolen base, but not that time.
Yeah, we've seen a number of pitchers so far pitching in that 92, 94 mile an hour area, but it's not a straight four-seam fastball. We're seeing 94s with a lot of life on it, whether it's the riding, the diving, and that just makes it all that much harder to make contact with.
Scott Hurst reached via the walk back in the third inning. Scott out of Glendora, California.
Bishop Amat High School.
Good school academically, athletically. His freshman year, they won it all, the CIF title. That was a changeup.
We've seen all four pitches from Sean Reed Coley. Of course, the slider got our attention, but 92, 94 mixed in a 76 curveball, and there, 85 mile an hour changeup with a lot of late life to it as well.
And then a fastball right behind. That may be one of the most impressive innings of the evening that we have seen. Sean Reed Foley out of Jacksonville, Florida. And he showed it all. Good morning. That's exactly right.
Good afternoon. Good night, Darren Sutton.
We'll turn the bed down for you, folks. Welcome back to the Perfect Game All-American Classic presented by Rawlings. The best 51 players in the country heading into their senior year. Eric Burns, David Ronsley, Brett Dolan. I'm Darren Sutton here in San Diego, and it was the Rawlings Home Run Derby. Even the pitchers knocking them over the boards. That's Tyler Kolek. Mr. Hurst followed that one up, Scott Hurst, but in the end, it was a huge day, and it was a Home Run Derby championship for Michael Chavis out of Marietta, Georgia, Sprayberry High School. It's the #1 third baseman in the United States. Rawlings in that beautiful Crystal Cup, something to be proud of. And we introduce you to David Peterson out of Denver, Colorado, left-handed pitcher. Big fella, 6'6", 220 on the mound. #1 prospect in the state of Colorado as he misses low. Facing Benito Santiago. Tell us about David. David.
Well, David, 6'6", as you mentioned, very athletic 6'6". He plays first base with skill and grace. He swings the bat very well, but you look at that frame, you look at the loose arm, and you just know he's going to get better. And he's been up to 92 already. Good breaking ball, but he's a pitcher that scouts can dream on when maybe he's 24, 25 years old. Nice cutting action on that fastball right there. Because he's going to get better, and you can envision a lefty with a plus fastball at the big league level.
Pitches at Regis Jesuit High School, and his head coach this past year was Mike Anderson, but the first 2 years his head coach was Walt Weiss. Walt Weiss cut his teeth coaching and teaching before he became the manager of the Rockies. So if you're out there on the mound, first of all, you know from Walt to get over there, and he does. And second of all, what a great teacher.
You're not kidding. 6'6" and athletic.
Yeah, Bernie, you're impressed by that play by David Peterson.
He was a big boy. him. Graceful, too.
I should note, Benito Santiago, not a bad runner at all, 6'7", 60 guy, so that's not a prototypical catcher running either.
And you think if Walt Weiss is your head coach, longtime Gold Glove infielder, that he's going to have his pitchers not field? He's not letting them get away with that.
Walt Weiss, for a while there, had his Rockies playing some really good baseball at the beginning of the season. I think their lack of pitching depth has since caught up to him.
Justin Smith takes low and away from that left arm. 1-1 the count.
And we saw Sean Reed Foley last inning not really able to throw a ball straight, probably even if he wanted to. Peterson has that same sort of natural life on every pitch. Nice change up there for a strike.
Good changeup, David.
As Gareth Morgan takes away, Eric, just a ball player. I mean, a guy's guy, a leader. Certainly didn't always do it with his bat, but led in so many other ways.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's a reason why he's managing a big league ball club right now.
Gareth Morgan, meantime, with a fly ball into right center field. Coming over and putting that one away is Stone Garrett. Well, that's another solid inning. David Peterson. Mr. Weiss would be proud of that. On a beautiful night in San Diego, California.
Yes, it is.
It's hard to beat this ballpark, this opportunity for these players. 51 of the very best of the best heading into their senior years in high school. Justice Sheffield is ready to go now as we introduce you to number 42 from Tullahoma, Tennessee. Tullahoma High School, 6 foot 190. The number 1 ranked left-handed pitcher, David, in the state of Tennessee.
Of course, Justice Sheffield's brother Jordan was a perfect game All-American last year. He's now going to be at Vanderbilt starting his college career this fall. But Justice Sheffield, very different. First of all, Jordan a right-hander, Justice a left-hander. Justice really more a complete pitcher at this point. Tops out at 93. I saw a 94 last week from him. But he has all 4 pitches and can really mix them well.
And he fires the fastball at 94 miles an hour, missing a little bit low. To Sean Bouchard, his second at bat of the contest. To the right side.
Good healthy cut, just got underneath it. I love the demeanor of these guys. I mentioned that earlier when I saw them during batting practice, but it's incredible how relaxed, comfortable, confident they all seem. Then again, we are talking about the 51 best players in the country. Every reason to be confident.
Yes, every reason to be confident. But as we've talked about so many of their families and their upraisings, the respect that so many have for their mothers, you see that it goes beyond just being confident. There's some humility with it as well.
Sure.
Change up, then a breaking ball for strike 3. Great sequence.
Filthy.
Yeah, Justin Sheffield, he has all the pitches, and a year ago he wasn't like that. He was a rear back and throw the ball as hard as he can type of guy, and just in the last year he's really developed feel for really all 4 of his pitches, and he's really taken a big step forward over that time.
Mattel swings right through that one. D-Bat Mustangs, his travel squad. Like any player in Stillwater, Oklahoma, has the opportunity to possibly be coached by Josh Holliday. As we remind you, this copyrighted telecast is presented by MLB Network, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game, they may not be disseminated without the express written consent. We thank you for joining us tonight. But along with working with Josh, what may be his future coach, Matt Holliday comes home too. He's had a chance to take some hitting lessons from Matt Holliday.
One of the better guys in the game of baseball. Matt Holliday. I had an opportunity to play with him for a little bit of time in Colorado, play against him for several years. consummate professional.
You guys had quite a battle in 07 in the postseason, if I remember correctly.
Oh, we did, Darren. Oh, we did.
3-1 the count.
Worked out a little better for them than it did for us.
Good fastball. 3-1 said, here it is.
What's amazing for all the great pitching that we've seen, there's 11 runs on the board.
There are 11 runs on the board, 10 hits. Only one extra base hit, but certainly a number of balls hit right very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Five hits for the West, 5 hits for the East. Two teams have combined for 5 miscues. More strikeouts that need to be counted because the pitching has been so strong. As that one sails high, it's ball 4.
You speak of the miscues. I was checking texts between innings and got a very interesting text from Greg Zunino, who's a good friend of mine, a veteran scout for the Cincinnati Reds, and of course the father of Mike Zunino, the outstanding catching prospect for the Mariners. And as a catching guy, Mike's saying it's rough watching catchers in these games because they've never seen the pitchers before. They have the hardest job in the ballpark, and something that we alluded to early in the broadcast, and a veteran catcher watcher like Greg Zunino agreeing with it.
Over the top of that one, 0-1 the count on Trenton Kemp. Kemp stepped in, took a couple of pitches to get comfortable, and whacked a base hit his last time up.
Yes, he did. Kemp, a football player, mentioned that last time he came up, just now really starting to focus on baseball. So I was talking to him about the wood bats, and I had assumed that these guys swung wood bats all the time, with the exception of when they played during their high school season. And I asked the wrong guy, apparently, because I asked Kemp about how much experience he has with a wood bat, and he said that was pretty much the first time I've been swinging one.
Yeah, and you did talk to the unique person here, and I would venture out, without knowing a little more about Trent Kemp, just what I've read and gathered while here. He may have fewer baseball repetitions than Touki Toussaint, to use somebody we've talked about earlier, and of course hitting is so repetition oriented.
That one skips into center field. So with the runner taking off, moving up on, in the end, what will be a stolen base, assuming an out there.
This is so big for these guys to be able to swing wood at this level. I didn't start swinging a wood bat until I got to the Cape Cod League. We knew we were going to see some sloppy defense today.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's a natural at games at this level because the players never played with each other.
That, and let's not forget they're still 17.
I guess that probably factors in as well.
You see all these guys, and they have the big league skills. I don't think there's any question about it. But what makes a big leaguer is the ability to repeat it and just the consistency.
Yeah, and one thing that stood out about Trenton Kemp as he goes down on strikes there, he had the simplest swing with his hand set up. Just simple, very quiet, as you were talking about earlier. And it's probably a swing that hasn't been coached very much. It's just the natural way that he swings the bat.
Chan Brown steps out, makes the call, and he goes to the bullpen. We will get to know Foster Griffin. He goes to work, the left-hander out of Orlando, Florida. Local youth baseball represented at the ballpark, having a lot of fun. More and more players are looking for an opportunity to play in an extended tournament format that culminates in a true national championship. One roster striving for the very best. Perfect Game providing that venue, the Super 25 Series. 20 regions around the country and the Caribbean. 5 super regionals, 1 national champion in each group from 9U to 17U. Log on to pgsuper25.com. The next step for Perfect Game USA. More information, a really cool thing. Check it out. So Foster Griffin, 6'4", 195, left-handed pitcher, facing Alex Jackson, the #1 prospect in this class. Foster out of the First Academy High School. Gets it done in the classroom. Perfect 4.0 GPA and a really good changeup, swing and a miss.
I love watching Foster Griffin pitch. He was the most valuable pitcher at the WWBA 17 Under National Championships. Watch how loose and easy his arm is. You know, you're seeing change-ups there. He's an 89-92 with his fastball, and it's effortless and it's loose, and you can just see him filling out and getting stronger and just having dominant stuff when he's 24, 25 years old, which is what these scouts are looking for. What is a player going to be like when he's in his mid-20s?
Breaking ball misses low. Foster also a varsity golf team member.
I believe his father is a PGA teaching pro as well.
You are correct, sir. That one is a high sky. And put away out there. Sticking with it, doing a nice job. The play is made by Greg Dykman. We roll on. A lot of runs, a ton of strikeouts, too. 7-4. That is our perfect game. A player spotlight. Nick Gordon, certainly a fabulous run. He is on the fast track to certainly at least start his career as successfully as brother and father did. He's a quality young man, very active in PG events. Let's get to know him down in the dugout. Brett Dolan with Nick Gordon, guys.
Got it. It's Nick to my left, and of course, father Tom Flash Gordon to my right. And Dad, I'm going to start with you. What was it like as a proud father last night at the banquet to see your son win the Jackie Robinson Award for the Perfect Game National Player of the Year?
I tell you, it was a dream come true. You watch your kid grow up and idolize the great heroes of the game, and Jackie Robinson is a hero, an ambassador, great professional, and I mean just somebody that we all looked up to in the game, and just a trend that he's taken on.
I was going to ask you about the advice you might give him from time to time. Nick, even as we're waiting to go on camera, he's giving you some advice. What a resource it is to have your old man around.
Yes, sir. It's a great thing. I mean, my dad's always there to tell me what's right and what's wrong, and whenever I need something, I go to my pops.
I know a lot of players were asked about their favorite major league player, and I think most or the majority said Derek Jeter. You said the same thing, but you've got a little different relationship because you go back to Yankee Stadium with Derek.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When I was a little kid, I used to always come off the field with my dad, and we used to work out, and Derek Jeter used to be right there helping me and showing me the way. And then I used to go sit in his locker a lot of times, and he used to give me cleats and stuff like that and wristbands, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
All right, Flash, before I let you go, your son is an outstanding shortstop. He's also a very good pitcher. Do you want to see him play both as long as he possibly can?
Absolutely. I'd rather see him play his position, first of all, because I think he brings so much to the game. But thank God he's getting an opportunity to be amongst some of the elite high school talent in the country, and this is a dream come true.
Guys, what a great family. Tom Flash Gordon and Nick Gordon back upstairs.
Brett, thank you very much. We see Tom a lot at these events. Meantime, back on the diamond, Chase Velo is on the move. A rocket shot as that one rolls into the corner. The pride of Lafayette, Louisiana, turning one around. Michael Kopech out of Mount Pleasant, Texas, is the new pitcher. But yet another extra base hit. That's the second we've had on the contest. There have been a tally of strikeouts, the second extra base hit.
Well, the catchers are producing our extra base hits. That's a fastball running in on his hands, and Chase Velo doing a very good job of getting his hands inside and through contact there, hitting it very hard down the left field line.
Yeah, absolutely, David. That was it's not an easy pitch to hit.
No,
it's like two-seam action, riding in on his hands, the ability to keep that ball fair. Nice swing path.
No! Keeping that breaking ball with him and an opportunity to drive in a run for Michael Chavis. Pinch runner out there taking over, Justice Sheffield. We saw him work on the mound. Now we see him pitch in with his legs. Kopech, by the way, on the mound, talented. As he rides that fastball up and in. The number 2 pitching prospect in Texas. Kolek, number 1. Kopech, number 2.
Both from East Texas, and not from the big cities either. Kolek from Shepherd, Texas. Kopech from Mount Pleasant, and staying away from Dallas, Metroplex, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. These are country boys for the most part.
Well, it makes for a better story, David.
Yes, it does.
The Dallas Tigers, his travel squad, Mount Pleasant High School. He was proud of his high school team last year. They made the playoffs for the first time in a decade. And I'm sure he's a big part of it. Stuff-wise, David, what can we expect from Michael?
Well, I've seen Michael up to 95 miles an hour in the past. Usually sits in the low 90s right now, and he's tall and thin, 6'4", 180 pounds, so he's not physically mature yet. He has an unusual deceptive delivery. You'll see it right here, and we've already seen the big breaking curveball from the young Texan. And you saw on the bottom of the screen there a little comparison to Tim Lincecum. He's long, he's loose. It's kind of an unusual delivery, a very long arm action. I'm not so sure that when he gets to the next level, whether it be college or pro, that a pitching coach might try to shorten up that arm action and bit and back, and shows the ball when you're behind the plate to the hitter. But good stuff there.
And the fastball goes to the backstop.
Timmy went through a little bit of a period where scuffled second half of last season, beginning of this season, as he's approaching his free agency here. He's threw that no-hitter, he had, believe it, here in San Diego. And pretty much since then, he had a couple shaky starts.